garlic butter, and chopped cilantro. Build your fajita with over 16 ounces of tender grilled chicken, juicy steak, and a dozen pieces of seasoned grilled shrimp in the family fajita trio. All served with warm flour tortillas and fresh toppings like mixed cheese, guacamole, salsa, and pico de gallo. Experience bold, sizzling fajita flavors only at Chili's. More life happens here.
Dozens of cases of a condition similar to polio are under investigation by federal health officials.
The condition, acute flaccid myelitis, causes muscles and reflexes to weaken and become painful. It's seen mostly in kids. Dr. Nancy Messonnier says of 127 possible cases seen this year,
62 cases have been confirmed as AFM.
The cases span 22 states. While the symptoms mirror polio, Dr. Messonnier says that's not the cause. However,
we have not determined what pathogen or immune response caused the arm or leg weakness and paralysis in most of these patients.
She says one child died last year of the disease. The CDC recommends seeing a doctor immediately if you notice muscle weakness symptoms. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
A deadly train derailment in Morocco. Reports of at least 7 people killed, nearly 80 injured. The train was about halfway between the Moroccan capital and a town farther north on the Atlantic coast. Local residents, the first to reach the scene, reporting that they heard a gigantic explosion. It's under investigation. Yet another new frontier for Amazon, as founder Jeff Bezos does what some other big tech firms decided not to do.
Amazon's bidding for a 10-year contract with the Department of Defense known as the Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure Project, or JEDI, to offer billions of dollars worth of cloud computing services. Google's removed its bid for JEDI, and Microsoft employees are urging the company not to take the contract. Though Bezos, in an event celebrating the 25th anniversary of the tech magazine Wired, said that if tech companies turn their back on the Department of Defense, that the country will be in trouble. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Recapping the Wall Street rally, the Dow up 547 to nearly 25,800. The Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ all up over 2%. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
We're surrounded by sound. There are sounds that you need to hear. There are sounds that you want to hear. And there are sounds that you long to hear.
I love you.
Hear it all, louder and clearer than ever before. If you or someone you know has a hard time hearing, Guam Hearing Doctors can help, using state-of-the-art test gear to evaluate your hearing and coming up with a plan to make your life better by making your hearing better. Call Guam Hearing Doctors for an appointment or visit them on the web at guamhearingdoctors.com.
Meet all the candidates up close and personal and find out why they deserve your vote. On Saturday, October 27th, you can meet them face-to-face during Micronesia Mall's one-on-one with the candidates. From 1 to 4 p.m., you can ask the tough questions, exchange views, express your concerns, or just get to know your candidates better. Hosted by Ray Gibson and broadcast on 93.3 The Point with the Facebook Live feed courtesy of Shooting Star Productions. Go one-on-one with the candidates, Saturday, October 27th, only at Micronesia Mall.
Guam Regional Medical City. We bring the healthcare advances of the world directly to you. We are an acute care hospital that complements your needs with our robust outpatient specialty clinics. From preventative care to critical care, we strive for consistent excellence at GRMC. Our core philosophy is where patients are partners, which means we work as a team to make a healthier version of you. For more information about GRMC, visit us at grmc.gu.
If you can dream uncommon design and unprecedented engineering, you define the 2018 Lexus. The boldly designed IS Sports Sedan's aggressive design stimulates the senses.
Advanced paddle shifting puts the exhilarating performance of the IS Sports Sedan at your fingertips. With deep, luxurious seating, the ES350 offers an ultimate level of comfort, while cutting-edge engineering delivers a thrilling drive.
Put yourself in a 2018 Lexus.
Now with special incentives.
At Atkins Kroll.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The general manager of the Guam Kmart store says the doors will remain open at the island's only Kmart outlet. We're not going anywhere, said Mike Fleisner. We're going to have business as usual, he told the Guam Daily Post. Kmart's parent company, Sears Holding Corporation, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on Monday. Chapter 11 allows a company to reorganize, unlike Chapter 7, which is liquidation. A Sears company spokesman also confirmed that Guam's Kmart is not scheduled for closure. Spokesman Howard Reeves provided the Post with a list of Sears and Kmart stores that will close, and Guam's Kmart is not on that list of 65 stores slated to be shuttered. Guam's Kmart employs about 600 local residents. An article in the Wall Street Journal in January of this year noted that Guam's Kmart is one of the most profitable stores with $100 million in annual sales. Just a few weeks into the 2019 fiscal year, and already the government of Guam is looking at more than an $8 million shortfall. That's because the Department of Rev and Tax has decided not to implement the real property tax increase, according to Public Auditor Benjamin Cruz. The real property tax increase is part of the 2019 budget law. It's projected to raise more than $8 million annually from roughly 400 property owners whose buildings or homes have an appraised value of $1 million or more. That revenue has already been allocated in this year's budget. However, the public auditor, Cruz, said he was shocked that Rev and Tax would not be collecting it this fiscal year as expected. He warned that GovGuam is now facing a self-inflicted deficit if it delays collection until the next fiscal year. Cruz wrote to Governor Calvo, who is the organically recognized tax commissioner, asking him to collect that tax this fiscal year. In response, the governor wrote back yesterday saying he warned Cruz in August, when Cruz was still serving as Speaker of the Legislature, that the budget law was flawed. The governor pointed out that the budget bill changed only the property tax rate, but it didn't change the assessment date, which is March. And as a result, the governor said, since the 2019 budget bill was passed after March of this year, and because a law can't be applied retroactively, the earliest date that the property tax can take effect is in the next fiscal year. The governor said if you wanted to ensure the new rate was effective immediately, you should have written it clearly into the legislation. We'll have more news after this.
Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959. Now you can start planning for the holidays by getting a personal Christmas loan from $1,000 up to $3,500. Family Finance has 3 convenient locations to serve you. Give them a call in Dededo, 633-4473, Hagåtña, 475-4545, and the Upper Tumon location on the 2nd floor of the Pacific Building at 647-5626. Get your Christmas loans today from Family Finance.
There's a reason every day a Guam homeowner is getting a solar system installed by Micronesia Renewable Energy. It's because MRE is the most trusted name in solar. With more solar energy solutions than any other solar company on island, homeowners have a choice to go solar for zero money down or take the path to ownership. Whichever way, it keeps our skies blue and your pockets green. And with the most experienced solar technicians and an energy production guarantee, there are no worries. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, the smarter choice.
11 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. The Guam Attorney General has ruled that an across-the-board GovGuam hiring freeze written into the 2019 budget law cannot be enforced because it encroaches on the authority of the executive branch and violates the Organic Act. The opinion issued Monday by Attorney General Elizabeth Barrett Anderson reinforces the position taken by Governor Calvo, who stated in September that the legislature cannot manage hiring for the other branches of the government. The freeze is supposed to be in effect now and throughout the first quarter of this fiscal year, as called for in the current budget law. Department of Administration Director Edward Burns sought the opinion in a letter to the AG on October 5th, asking if the freeze violated the doctrine of the separation of powers. In her response, Barrett Anderson said, the hiring freeze in the current budget law is no different from an earlier one attempted several years ago that was ultimately voided because it violated the separation of powers in the Organic Act. Guam Department of Education reporting that there was an increase in both the graduation and dropout rates in the 2016-2017 school year, but the increase in graduations outpaced the increase in dropouts, according to the report. Graduation rate was up 2.5%, growing from 82% to the 84.5% now, more than 15% higher than 7 years ago. According to the report, the numbers exceed DOE's goal of reaching an 80% graduation rate by 2020. The dropout rate rose slightly from 2.4% 2 school years ago compared to 2.6% in the last school year. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with a look at weather.
It says here, mostly cloudy skies and hot with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Light and variable winds, highs near 88 degrees with a max afternoon heat index of around 101 degrees. Overnight lows of about 77 degrees. But as we say, we got mostly cloudy skies and showers falling virtually everywhere right now. Why is that, Michael?
Well, we've got a trough, a weak trough that extends
those
from
crazy troughs.
Yeah, right up through the middle of the Marianas all the way down to Yap, where it kind of closes off there, and it's just bringing a lot of rain and instability to us, especially this overnight. They expect, the Weather Service does, this to kind of clear up a little bit as we go through the day today, so we'll have less rain this afternoon. I'm not convinced, but we'll see. They're I have to defer to their expertise. So, but look for this at least through the drive this morning. With this rainy skies and occasional heavy showers from time to time.
Yeah, you might want to consider leaving a little bit earlier if you can. 6:14 in the morning. Sunrise at 6:11. Sunset tonight at 6 o'clock, and an outstanding sunset last night. Good job, everybody. Yes. I think we all willed it. And considering how snotty it was yesterday afternoon, there were a lot of people that weren't so sure about catching a nice sunset last night. But if pictures on Facebook are any evidence, it was all to the contrary. 6:14, that's news and weather together here on The Point. Brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
Portions of the program brought to you by a whole gaggle of folks, including my friends over at American President Lines, where they're shipping the future. Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. My friends at American WaterTech, smarter water, better water, and Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your open heart surgery needs, as well as Guam Hearing Doctors. Call the experts at Guam Hearing Doctors if you're worried about your hearing. The evaluation, simple and pain-free.
The Better Together bundle even better. 2 great services plus more. Get unlimited local calls, SMS, and 20 gigs of data, plus unlimited home internet for $109 a month. Sign up today and get free installation and choose between a free Galaxy S8, S8 Plus, or $100 off select devices. Mobile plus online from Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. See store for details.
Love this. The Subway Chipotle Cheese Steak contains a concept called flavor. This flavor comes from juicy shaved steak and Chipotle Southwest sauce. Available for a limited time only at Subway restaurants. Subway, make it what you want.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Chipotle cheesesteak, huh? I guess that means that they're all done with the hot pastrami over at Subway, and they've replaced it with something with a concept of flavor. How brilliant is that? I'm sorry, I like that little turn of phrase that they've got in the copy. We might want to riff on the concepts a little bit later on. Here's a concept for some people. Common sense. We've come with a comment because it's common sense. I don't know why they call it.
I'm still stuck on Chipotle cheesesteak, man. That sounds good.
You know what? Every time I see Chipotle, I wonder if I'm saying it correctly. Yeah. Still, 56 years old, don't know how I got to be this age without knowing that there's all kinds of other different flavors out there. And Chipotle it looks like one of those words that might have multiple pronunciations attached to it.
Yeah, the first time you call it Chipotle, then you'll know that you said it the wrong way.
It's like Frank and Alicia. You know, how many different ways can we put Frank and Alicia down on?
By the way, I have a call here from the Guam Democratic Party.
Sure.
Melody! Oh,
what a world! What a world! 6:17 in the morning. We'll get into some of that here in just a couple of minutes and all the different variations now that have been sent to the Guam Election Commission. Apparently had a meeting just so they could fight. And did they determine anything last night? Did they come up with any conclusions on anything?
Beats me.
I think they were trying to beat each other, based on a couple of stories I'm looking at here this morning. Anyway, before we get to that, let me just start off with the Hello Hoffaday Facebook world.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
And our concept here on the Facebook Live is one of camaraderie and brotherhood and sisterhood and love and kumbaya. Except when it's fun when Chris from Big Abetta starts jumping up against Ken and Andre. I think then it's just pure excitement. It's just go ahead, no holds barred. Get into the debates because it's fun to watch and it's fun to look at. 888-8255. We say good morning to Rico Blancaflor says good morning. Point Lynn Vince Borja Polino already waving. There's Johnson Nicholas says don't let the rain fall down on me. My roof has a hole in it and I might drown. Ismael saying reveille reveille all hands heave out and trice up now reveille. Navy talk for get your arse out of bed. It's okay if I say it arse, right? Okay. And we got Dora Marie and Jeffrey Ojeda. Good morning. Happy hump day. It's the day I don't call hump day. Longtime listeners of the program. In fact, if you were listening last week, you heard me make the explanation. I don't refer to it as hump day because every other guy on the radio, anywhere else in the country, anywhere else on the planet, is going to refer to it as hump day. So for me, it is now Chicken Wings Wednesday. Can I share with you? We were me and some pals did some running and then ended up at Santa Fe last night, and everybody got kind of hungry, and they said, "Well, do you have wings?" And the lady says, "Yeah, we got wings." Oh, okay. Well, how many wings do we get on the plate? She said 6, and everybody kind of looked at each other like, that doesn't sound like a lot of wings. But here's the deal, and I didn't realize this until she actually brought the plate out. They're whole wings. I mean, you get all 3 parts of the wing, the little wingy part and the little drumette and the forearm part. You get all of that. So I thought, wow, that's actually pretty good for the price. No waste whatsoever. Anyway, so we decided maybe there's going to be some more chicken wings in the forecast for today, and it's Chicken Wings Wednesday. You can call it Hump Day if you want to. Chito de Guzman suggesting that everybody have a happy Boss Day. Boss Day was actually, Chito, yesterday. And followers of mine on Facebook will note that I'm the happiest boss in the world. On my special day, I got a special gift, 12-pack of Heineken Light, from one of my special staffers here, one of my favorite salespeople, Vanessa. She got me that. And naturally, everybody looked at that and thought it was my birthday, so I've been taking happy birthday wishes for about the last 24 hours as well. But it is actually, National Bosses Day was actually yesterday, and I'll tell you, there's a story about National Bosses Day, reportedly started in 1958 by Patricia Bays Harosky, who felt the company for which she worked didn't do enough to recognize good bosses. So even though it was yesterday, there's no reason why we can't make it a week-long celebration. So if you've got a fantastic boss, run out there and see if you can score. Well, it's too early to buy beer now, right?
Yeah. Well,
what time does Beyond the Box open? I watch. Right, you can get one of the Apple Watches,
simple.
Yeah, MacBook, something like that. Just
I do my best to honor a good boss by not quitting.
There you go. That might be the thing. Yes, work just hard enough not to get fired. Jules Elmer is on today. There's Maka Moylan Alston. That's two. It's one of the three Moylans that needs to check in on a daily basis. Big sister Shelley Gibson's there. Valerie Lynn Maigi, who's working over at Frank Zelgen's office, waiting for me to say something nice about Frank and Alicia. I'll work through that. I gotta be careful. If I can say something nice about Frank and Alicia, I've also got to say something nice about Lou, and I got to say something nice about Ray, and then all the senatorial candidates will come in and go, oh, what about me? What about me? I got Renee and Pat Taitegui are on. As I said, Chito de Guzman's there. Bert Duarte, Anita Mofness with the Valentine's eyes. There's Anita Santos, who's just giving me a wave. There's no Valentine's eyes from Anita Santos this morning. Vivian Castro Leon, Carmen Leon Guerrero, Judy Shockley, Jimmy Moylan. So that's 2 out of 3. Where's Lee Aloha now? Mark Cruz is waving at me early this morning. That's nice. And Ken Duane, it's great to have everybody all lined up. And do me a favor if you would, because some of you are even more famous than me. So if you would, please do me a favor and click the share button, and let's get more people in tune with this little get together, this group gathering that we have to talk about the issues, or if for no other reason, it's nice to be nice to somebody first thing in the morning, isn't it? Isn't it just nice to say, hey, good morning, you're looking good? Feeling good? Read a couple of your posts last night. Very intriguing and intuitive thoughts that you might have about whatever it is that's in front of us. Pardon me just for a moment. I've forgotten to open the table of contents today to see what fascinating things we're going to be talking about today. Kmart is staying. That's a headline in this morning's Guam Daily Post, and of course you heard about it yesterday morning when we were reviewing a couple of the big headlines from the national media, where they had talked about 142 Sears and Kmart stores that they were going to be closing down, and Guam happily not on that list. But the guys over at the Guam Daily Post were able to actually talk to somebody in the Kmart empire, the vast Kmart empire, about their plans for Guam, and they said, the
general manager here on island
said, we're not going anywhere.
That's it.
I got bills to pay. I got people. I got to worry about people.
And they're making money hand over fist.
Right. But now there were rumors floating around. Were you able to address this with the guy, or was it addressed
with
it
was a brief comment and then referral to Chicago.
Okay, all right. So between you and Megan, because there were a lot of questions and people writing me that said that they had told their local vendors, hey, we're not going to need anything in the next few weeks.
No, actually, we do know that an email was sent out to the local vendors saying, hey, we're still in business. Keep supplying us.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, so to the contrary.
To the contrary,
all right. Because, as I said, rumors floating around. That's why try not to talk about rumors too much until we get some kind of clarification. And in that case, the clarification was there. Public Auditor Cruz. That's interesting to say, isn't it? Public Auditor Cruz. Because it's Speaker Cruz, Justice Cruz, now Public Auditor Cruz has sent a note to the governor. It actually sent it out to the media, and a note, I guess, to the governor, talking about his disappointment with the Department of Revenue and Taxation. B.J. Cruz disappointed with the Department of Revenue and Taxation? I'm shocked and amazed. You've got to be kidding. I've never heard of any. It's an outrage, I tell you. But he's annoyed with them. Certain parties within the Department of Revenue and Taxation have attempted to nullify a section of law through delay, arguing instead that the absence of an expressed effective date in this section allows for individual interpretation. This is not the case. Now, I'll get to read a little bit more of this to you a little bit later on. But the governor's office has fired back, and I can only say that this one has got the feel of yeah, and I told you so. So there. In your face, BJ, in your face. That's what this feels like. As you very well know, he says, this is the governor writing now, the 2019 bill only changed the rates. The rest of the law stayed the same, and the rest of the law says that the tax is assessed every March. Since the law was passed after March 2018, and because the law cannot be applied retroactively, then the earliest date the new rate can take effect is in March 2019. If you wanted to ensure the new rate was immediately effective, you should have written it clearly into the legislation that became law. In your face. And as if that weren't in your face enough, on another matter, he writes, the Office of the Attorney General has noted that the hiring freeze in Public Law 34-116, which is the budget bill that you introduced, violates the doctrine of separation of powers and is inorganic. So there again, In your face.
Get up, it's Jesus Day.
It's totally inappropriate for this conversation. You just like playing it, don't you? That's what I thought. So, and there's sinceramente. He signs. Governor signs off sinceramente, which is apparently in your face in tomorrow. That must be the translation. Where will it end? I don't know. Probably some conversation with the Attorney General is going to be afoot here on what's going to be happening with this real property tax levy that was written into the law. And the law, I can't remember. Did the governor? No, the governor let it lapse into law, right? He did. He did. Yeah. So it's not like a veto, but he complained about it every step of the way, and has taken great enjoyment in finding all of the different places and ways that it is not necessarily up to snuff or his standards. There's a couple of other questions about some of the dollars and cents of the government of Guam. Some of it came up in the conversation last night over at the Election Commission. We'll see if we can get some Election Commission officials on the radio to find out if they were able to resolve anything in the conversation conversations that took place last night. I'll share some of my thoughts with you on that as well. Alice Tyron received and Marie Pangilinan received a note from Frank Uggan and Alicia Limtiaco yesterday advising them of the notice of intent of write-in candidacy. This letter shall serve as notice of intent of write-in candidacy of Frank Blas Uggan Jr. as Governor of Guam and Alicia Ann Garrido Limtiaco as Lieutenant Governor of Guam for the upcoming 2018 general election held Tuesday, November 6, 2018. Very complete sentences. Thank you very much. The committee to elect Uggan Limtiaco for Guam hereby submits to the Guam Election Commission a list of names to consider as adequate. 1, Believe. 2, Frank Uggan Jr. / Alicia Limtiaco, Frank Uggan and Alicia Limtiaco, Uggan Limtiaco, and Frank and Alicia. Those are the 5 names that they would like the Election Commission to consider as adequate in a write-in so that you don't have to write the whole thing. Frank Uggan Jr., Alicia Limtiaco. You don't have to put all of the middle names and Garrido Limtiaco. You don't have to put any of that stuff in there. So here's the name that they like. Additionally, Guam law mandates the Commission count all votes that adequately identify the Uggan Limtiaco team. If the Commission can reasonably discern the intent of the voter, it must give such deference and count the vote accordingly. We thank you for your attention to the names listed above, and we look forward to the Commission's timely response. I don't know what the nature of the response needs to be. It seems to me that you can put yourself out as a write-in, and it would surprise me if there was a paperwork that they had existing at the Guam Election Commission that said, okay, that's all we needed. We'll consider you now as a write-in. Where this is going to get interesting to me is there's a number of debates and forums that are going to be taking place. And in these debates and forums that are going to be taking place, some of them, I can think of 1 or 2 have got, in fact, all of them will have Lou Leon Guerrero and Ray Tenorio as members that will face off against each other in some of these forums and debates.
And at least one will have the Uggan. A third team.
Yes, a third team. Yeah. We were talking about a tri-gubernatorial forum that's going to be taking place. I'm curious about the GMA debate that Vince Akimoto had called in, publicizing a little bit yesterday. The debate will take place tomorrow over at the Hyatt Place. Doors will go into the ballroom at 6 o'clock. Prupu served in the foyer, and everybody ought to be in place to watch it. But I believe that this one here was only going to be Lou and Ray because there had not been any action taken by Uggan and Limtiaco to make themselves identified before the commission as write-in candidates. Now that this is done, is it possible that the debate will have a third place on the stage for Alicia and for Frank? So I sent a note to Tom Shea, because I wanted to know if that was going to be the case. Tom writes back this morning, good morning, I'm delivering a baby. What's that take, Tom? 10, 15 minutes? Maybe we'll hear from him before 7 o'clock. We'll see what happens. We'll hear from a bunch of people before 7 o'clock. Great to hear from you. Let me say just a quick jog down the list and see who else is playing around on Facebook Live. Lori Hanzik is there. I see Sean Valencia, Carlos Barreto. Carlos is going to be working with, I absolutely love working with him and his team over at Shooting Star. We're going to be doing the one-on-one with the candidates at the Micronesia Mall on October the 27th from 1 until 4. I'd like you to listen to it here on 93.3 The Point. as we will be broadcasting live from that event, questions and answers with all of the candidates that we can get lined up to appear inside of those 3 hours. If you can't make it, though, and prefer to be able to watch this, yes, it will be on Facebook Live. We'll be using all of Carlos's equipment, and we'll have the audio and the video and all of the commercials and everything. We'll be piping through his system, and we're going to make a couple of practice runs on that. And Carlos chiming in this morning just to say hi and letting me know that he is going to be lurking, I suppose. Lynn Paris is there. Hey, good morning, Simon Sanchez. Nice to see you there. Candidate Simon Sanchez, Pamela Uggan, Lillian Cruz, Joe Michael, and Jeff Pleadwell is up and early over at Pirates Cove. Pamela Uggan, Mark Mendiola. Mark Cruz says Kmart makes $100 million a year on Guam. That's 3 times more than their #2 store. It may be the only one left open after the bankruptcy settles. Hey, there's Eddie Cruz, Tommy Barcinas, Millie Luhana Feiss, and Albert Elias. And long as I can remember the name, the rain always falling down. Yes, sir?
The $100 million is net. That's not. I mean, that's a gross. That's not net.
It's not net.
That's not profit. No, they just do $100 million in sales here on Guam, which is still probably significantly higher than the next store.
You know what? Nobody knew anything about Kmart last week. Now we're all experts. Big Abetta, there's Chris. I see Eunice Mendiola, Joe Flores, Albert Eliason, and Eunice and Ron F. Zahi. Lasia Casil is chiming in this morning. Lasia, where's your? You got a fundraiser tonight, right? Could you on the Facebook Live let everybody know where that is? And Vince Duenas. It's 6:33 in the morning. Those are all the people on Facebook Live, and thus the only people that I love. Headlines now from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Daily Post this morning. In district court yesterday, a California police officer who discovered 8 pounds of suspected meth in the vehicle of a couple charged with drug conspiracy. He took the stand on the 4th day of the jury trial in the case. It's a retrial. Torrance, California Police Department officer Ryan Schmidt was called to the stand in district court in the retrial of Raymond Martinez and Juanita Mosier. Martinez and Mosier accused of conspiring to distribute meth and money laundering. The case involves an alleged plot to bring in 8 pounds of meth from California to Guam. It was Schmidt who discovered the suspected meth during a traffic stop in Torrance, California. The first trial ended in a mistrial last May after the jury failed to reach a verdict. The lawsuit that community activist Ken Leon Guerrero filed against the Guam Election Commission will not be heard until after the general election. The lawsuit asks the court to review the validity of any ballots cast during the primary election in August. There were 907 ballots considered void due to crossover voting. Leon Guerrero is also asking for a hand recount of all the ballots cast during that primary. Scheduling conference to determine how the case will proceed has been scheduled for the end of November, a few weeks after the November 6th election. Leon Guerrero said he'll amend his lawsuit with the aim of requiring the Election Commission in the future to count all valid votes in a primary ballot, regardless of whether the vote was made on the Democratic or Republican side of that ballot. Senator Frank Uggan Jr. and Alicia Limtiaco asking the Guam Election Commission to recognize a list of write-in names for their revived campaign for Adelup. Among the names that voters may enter on the election ballot that the Uggan Limtiaco team want to be recognized are Uggan Limtiaco, Frank and Alicia, and the word believe, which is their campaign slogan. At its meeting last night, Commission Chairwoman Alice Tyron said that the request for various names to be recognized by the Uggan Limtiaco team would be addressed at their next meeting at noon on Friday. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
All right, thanks very much. 6:36 is iConnect time. Call them up later on this morning at 888-8888 and find out why they are the practical choices. Great rates, great packages on mobile, internet, even push-to-talk technology that you will fall in love with the first time you try it. Call them, 888-8888, iConnect, the practical choice.
Fuso trucks are sold, rented, and serviced exclusively on Guam by Morico Equipment. Available in van body, reefer body, freezer body, or flatbed designs. Fuso trucks specialize in the smaller delivery and service market. Perfect for business on Guam. Serviced by qualified technicians. Fuso trucks are part of the Daimler Truck and Freightliner truck family. Sales, rental, parts, service, and fully maintained lease finance from MoricoEquipment.com. Call Morico on Ipao Road at 649-1946.
It's only traffic right now on Route 3 trying to make your way towards Marine Corps Drive. Traffic moving slow. My guess is it has everything to do with wet road conditions. You'll also see traffic building up a little bit between Fatima Mobile and that intersection over at Marine Corps Drive. Nothing in front of Anderson Air Force Base right now. Clear into Agana from every direction that you care to name. Route 8, Route 4 is looking good into the downtown Agana area. Nothing down in PD, nothing down at Sumai, and nothing in front of Navy Hospital. Should be a good morning for traffic. It is wet roads, so again, the advice is to get on them as early as you can so you don't get stuck in drive time next hour. At 6:37, that's right now traffic on the point.
If you can dream uncommon design and unprecedented engineering, you define the 2018 Lexus. The boldly designed IS Sport Sedan's aggressive design stimulates the senses.
Advanced paddle shifting puts the exhilarating performance of the IS Sport Sedan at your fingertips. With deep, luxurious seating, the ES350 offers an ultimate level of comfort, while cutting-edge engineering delivers a thrilling drive.
Put yourself in a 2018 Lexus.
Now with special incentives.
At Adkins Kroll.
Morning talk that matters. The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
It's 6:38 in the morning, and yes, believe, just one word should be sufficient, according to the folks over in the Ugg-Olympiaco camp, as far as their write-in campaign is concerned. You can spell or misspell our names any way you like, but if you just put down believe, then it is hoped that the folks over at the Guam Election Commission will look at that and say, oh, they're clearly voting for Frank and Alicia, and count that as a vote in their favor. But apparently, I'm looking around and trying to figure out what they were able to determine last night. And apparently, all they were able to determine was we're tabling everything until we meet on Friday, is the way it sounds. Let me get the clarification on that from Maria Pangilinan from the Guam Election Commission. Good morning, Maria.
Half a day, Ray Gibson.
Are you getting tired of this yet?
No, actually, it's taking a lot of energy, so I need to rest a little bit some more.
Okay. Well, I was going to say rest on November the 7th you can rest, but there's a possibility that there might be a runoff that apparently you need to get some funding for. So let me just start with that one. About $400,000 if there is a runoff election that needs to take place and you don't have the money. Where do you suppose you can go to find it?
Well, I was directed by the commission to start talking to the legislature. So I'm hoping to do that today.
Who else has been talking to the legislature? I want to say GMH has been talking to the legislature, and the Department of Education has been talking to the legislature. I suppose there's a long line that you have to get into if you want to see if you can find some additional appropriations that might be able to be found and scratched out at the legislature.
Yes, I suppose so.
Okay. Well, you know what? Mike Sinicolas, that's your chair, right?
That's correct.
Mike Sinicolas always listens to the program. So if you'd like to just do a shout-out to him and say, hey, Miguel.
Yes, he's the first person I need to call in the morning.
Yeah, when you get into the office. So like I said, Mikey, be expecting a telephone call from Maria Pangilinan and take a look around and see if you might be able to. Everybody talks about how important democracy is in this republic. So maybe now is a good time to see if we can put some money where the mouths are. So let's get back to the meeting last night. There were a couple of things that everybody was expecting to get clarified at the meeting last night. Among them, what have we got? How we're going to deal with write-ins on the Republican side, on the Democrat side. Will they combine, or will they be counted as separate votes? What about the conflicts that various camps believe that Lou Leon Guerrero has as a member of the Bank of Guam family, and of course the case with People for Progress, and it looks like they're the ones that are getting aggressive with the Guam Election Commission these days. Were any of those issues resolved last night?
Unfortunately, the rules and the procedures of conducting a public meeting required that those correspondences be on the agenda. And the way to do it correctly would be first to amend the agenda, but you cannot amend the agenda without public notice. Holding the meeting last night was the opportunity to give public notice. Having the public meeting last night was the opportunity to give public notice that the agenda was going to be amended.
So now we have been noticed. Maria, I'm going to let you run here, and I'll tell you why, because I've got a couple of special guests in the studio that found their way to our studios here at the Point. So I want to start a conversation with them, if that's all right. If I got a couple more questions for you, I'll ring you back. But basically, that was the problem. The meeting wasn't noticed, or the items that would have gone on the agenda weren't a part of the notice. So we're going to have to wait until Friday.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now, the special guest in the studio, actually, if I could have you guys switch, what do you say? Kev, you want to move over there, and we'll have Frank sit over there and Alicia sit over there, and so everybody can see what mayhem is about to ensue here in the studios of 93.3 The Point, and a surprise visit this morning. I swear it's a surprise. I had no idea whatsoever that I was going to be visited upon by the ghost of election futures, and that would be Frank Uggan, Frank Uggan, Frank, what the heck? You got me. I'm flummoxed here, man. I'm just completely. So let me look at the letter you wrote to the Election Commission. How many different ways can I use your name here? It's Believe, or Frank Uggan Jr., or Alicia Limtiaco. Great to have you. Great to have you in the studio. Looks like we're breaking radio silence here this morning. Half a day.
Half a day. Good morning to you, and good morning, Gone.
What'd you bring me?
Well,
besides the scoop, here we have in studio. Remind me to talk about this. It's actually part of the table of contents here. People talk about polls and surveys that are being conducted. As far as I'm concerned, the only one that counts, because they're sponsors, is the one that they do over at 76 Circle K. You've got the little sleeves that go in there, and Frank and Alicia, or I'm sorry, the write-in option has garnered 50% this week. To Alicia's very happy with that. To Ray and Tony have 22, and Lou's got 28. Write-in has 50. So you've been drinking a lot of coffee these days, huh?
No, just one or two every other day.
Welcome to the studio. Welcome to the studio. Excuse the mess. Good morning, Alicia.
Good morning, Ray.
I should call you. Can I still call you General Alicia, right?
You can, or you can call me Alicia.
Alicia's fine.
Good morning to everyone.
Well, you know what, and I want to hear more from you, because, frankly, we give Frank a lot of opportunities to talk on the radio, and he always waves us off. So just how's everything been with you?
Everything's been fine. I believe that we've been working very, very hard. One of our primary goals is really to get out into the community, talk to people, listen, and I think we feel very, very supported in terms of really carrying the message forward that people have talked with us about.
That and that you guys are definitely in a write-in campaign.
Yes, yes.
The paperwork has been sent off to the Election Commission yesterday, and again they've managed to table it. We'll talk again on Friday, so which is going to suck, because they're going to make decisions on Friday night, and I won't have the ability to talk about them until it gets to be Monday morning, and there's a whole lot of other halai stuff that's going to be out, right?
But Ramon, there's certainly something to take into consideration in terms of the urgency of entertaining our requests, and that's because the voting had just started 2 days ago.
In-office
voting,
in-office
voting. Our people are literally voting, and they're inquiring as to exactly what are the acceptable versions of the names that they can actually imprint in that ballot so that it would be valid. And that is, to me, is a serious concern. I mean, the Election Commission's responsibility is to ensure that not only the facilitation and the smooth running, clean election, running a good, clean election, but most importantly is to be subservient to our voters, because this is the one time every 2 years that they are able to come out and express their views.
Were you able to get that message through to the commission and their members last night?
Well, I shared with them that it's a disservice that, in fact, they were not entertaining the content of the letter that we forwarded, that Alicia and I had forwarded yesterday morning, and we insisted that they get a response. We provided a response.
Okay, so if I'm the Election Commission, I'm going to come back to you and say, well, where you been? We've been moving forward with this election for since the end of the primary election.
That's neither here nor there.
No, but honestly, it did take you guys a while to get public, as I like to say, Facebook official on the write-in. So a lot of that might have been you guys slow walking into that decision.
Well, in this particular case,
I mean, they can't
I
read
would
your
like
intent.
to also ask Alicia to chime in, because this was a joint decision. I mean, it wasn't easy. We had to step away after we had pushed for the recount, for the hand count, and to be able to view the spoil ballots, and some of those were not granted by the Guam Election Commission. She and I had to step away in terms of being able to allow things to settle down, come back, speak to our families, speak to our friends and our supporters, and ask them exactly what direction they would like us to take. Because this is about listening to our people.
No,
This
I
is
get
not
that,
about,
but I mean,
I understand.
as well as anybody else will know that the Election Commission has got timelines that they had to follow, and they had to send out the ballots to off-island residents that still want to vote on Guam, and they've got to do the in-office voting. So those dates had already been clearly defined by the Election Commission.
Yes, understandably. And in this particular case, we made a conscious decision after reflecting on the people and after reflecting on what Alicia and I can provide in terms of leadership as the next governor and lieutenant governor. And when we made our decision, that's when we reached out and we started to formally notify our people, and then we came out on Saturday with that particular announcement. So now we're moving full steam ahead, and there's no stopping us in terms of making sure that we get our message out there, that we reach out to as many of our people as we possibly can.
All right, and now getting back to the decisions, because there had been some time in between, obviously, the primary election and the announcement, the pronouncement that you made, and there was, frankly, a lot of speculation out in the community whether you guys had whether this was going to be a go show or not, and in fact, rumors floating around that you had already been walking over and saying hello to the people over at Lou's camp.
That's right, Ray. I think there were a lot of rumors out there, but I believe that Frank and I really took the time, and we made a very conscientious decision. So this was not something that was made overnight, and we want the people of Guam to know that when we are approached about when we were approached about this, about the possibility of a write-in, I mean, there are a number of different factors that we considered, and as people know, there were a lot of criticisms, and all of those were taken into consideration.
I got some now on the Facebook Live. I got somebody chiming in saying it's the losers that don't know when to quit. So I mean, there is still that kind of the sentiment that is out there that even though the margin between you guys and Lou in the primary was thin, it was still a margin, and that you guys should have said, okay, well, I guess that's what the party wants. That's what the people have spoken. There is the mandate, and here, Lou, are all of our votes.
Well, in this particular case, first of all, Alicia and I respect the statement of that particular individual, because that's where we are. We are presenting ourselves as a write-in option. We understand the challenges that lie ahead in terms of ensuring that we get our people and our supporters to be able to appropriately fill in the blank and fill in the oval and write the names. But Ray, this has always been about our people. If you take a look at the margin of difference between the Lou and Josh team versus ourselves, Agun Limtiako, it was extremely, extremely narrow, 1.01% variance in terms of the differences. Now,
depending on whose math you
No,
used.
I understand. Based on the Election Commission's depiction of exactly what the differences are. These are their numbers presented, if you take a look at the election results.
Inside
right
the 2%.
But regardless, this is where Alicia and I, we made that decision, we made that conscious decision, and there's some things that I believe we need to set the record straight on. And one is, yes, I did have a meeting 2.5 weeks after our requests. Most of our requests were turned down by the Guam Election Commission. And shortly before, I believe it was shortly before the certification of the results, Lou and I had a direct conversation. We sat down and we said, okay, in this particular situation, Lou, I'm aware that your camp facilitated and sponsored about 70% of all those negative attack ads that came
kill, death,
towards
hit
me.
pieces against Frank. Yes, you believe they came from Lou, and
I know
Lou
for a
has
fact they
denied
came from
vehemently.
them. Yes, Lou can deny all she wants, because even in that conversation, and this is the God-known truth, even in that conversation, initially she denied it. So after a little while, after our conversation, I presented her 9 pages of documents that shows the metadata tracking of exactly where the source was of those negative attack ads. She took a look at that document, and she said she had absolutely no knowledge about it. So, and then she requested a copy of that document. I said, no, you can ask your experts, you can ask your people to be able to produce a similar document. But I'm showing you that you just lied to me in my face, one-on-one, knowing full well that computers don't lie. in terms of producing this information. If you request the information, and we did our investigation, we did our research, we know exactly where it came from, we know about her phone bank. She again told me straight on that they did not have a phone bank, and I know for a fact that they've been operating a phone bank for a number of months prior to the primary election. Also, another thing is we also identified, I shared with her, I said, I know the source of funding and the company that is financing your attack ads. And she again denied it. So on 3 separate occasions, in that
Can I have those documents?
In that one singular conversation, she lied to me straight on. But see, Ray, that's just me in terms of trying to understand where she's coming from. Was there a sincere effort to be able to understand, to have a meeting of the minds, and to be honest and truthful about the entire election? And apparently, that's not the impression I got. So I said, Lou, this concludes our conversation. I'm glad we had this dialogue. It's time for us to be able to part this particular meeting. But that tells me something about the individual, the character or the lack of integrity of that particular individual. And I'm making that statement because if you told me, Ray, head on, 3 items that I know for a fact, I have information, and you lied to me straight on, then how can I ever trust you as the leader of this island, this community? And yes, I'm being direct because in this particular case, it's about she's questioning the trust of the people on me. The people have trusted me for 9 terms as their senator. The people have trusted me over the course of the last few years to be able to advocate for their needs. When they asked that the pay raises for the elected officials be reverted and taken back, so that's exactly what we pushed for. We advocated. It took a little bit of time, and a little bit of convincing, but we were able to successful in that. So there's certain things that don't question Frank Uggan Jr. and my ability to serve my people, who I love. And I've served for the last 18-plus years as senator in terms of being able to carry out my responsibilities.
Let's get back to the campaign here for just a second, and I'll ask Alicia the question. You guys got any money?
Well, you know, Ray,
you've got less than 3 weeks to push this campaign, and it's going to require you.
That's right. We do, and I think everyone knows that we certainly are a team that works very hard. We are very much a grassroots. Taken a very grassroots approach, and so any contributions that we've received have obviously been reported to the Guam Election Commission, and really our campaign is about a lot of hard work, and we do not have, as I think the entire community knows, certainly the funding resources that, for example, the IMIN campaign has. And that's a reality. That certainly it can be a challenge, but at the same time it does, I do think, motivate the supporters, those that are part of our team, to work even harder to get out there.
Let me add it because this is the monetary. This is the monetary issue.
No, but that's the monetary issue.
Well, you don't have the resources
our opponent within the primary elections outspent us 3-1. Where did our support come from? It came from the community. It came from our people who believed in exactly what Uggan Ntiako was advocating for and what we will do as the next governor and lieutenant governor of Guam. That's where we went out there, we worked hard, we spoke the truth. We said, these are the things that we will commit to the people of Guam, and our people came out overwhelmingly.
Is the race against Lou, and there are some that are very, very concerned that there's a real opportunity to get a Democrat into Adelup, or in the other way of looking at it is to get the Republicans out of Adelup, and so there's this real opportunity. Is the race against Lou, or should it be against Ray?
The race is to convince a majority of our people to support Uggan Ntiako and to write our names in and vote for us and to trust us that over the course of the next 4 years, we will be working day in and day out every single day to be able to carry out the platform that we have set forth and ensure. And they know our people. One thing about this,
well, I mean, not necessarily the answer to the question, though. I mean, shouldn't you be gunning at Ray? Because with the party as split as it is right now, there is that genuine concern that you're not going to be able that a Frank or a Lou isn't going to be able to get out of Loop.
Ray, I have raised issues against this administration. I have raised issues in the past against Ray in terms of his upcoming leadership, possibly, if in fact he's given that opportunity. I've raised issues about Lou in terms of her ability to be able to lead this island and this community. It really comes down to exactly what Alicia and I are going to do. It is our job. If I'm too concerned about how much money the opposition has to spend, if I'm too concerned about exactly what Lou is advocating for, and I'm not focusing on Agulim Tiaco, and Alicia and I are not working on reaching out to our people, then we're losing sight of the objective. The objective here is not how much money we can raise. The objective is getting our message out there and making sure that our people understand that Agulim Tiaco is not only sincere, but we're ready to work hard from day one as your next governor and lieutenant governor. That's what it's about. So whether Lou or Ray are part of the process, we respect that. We want to concentrate on Agulim Tiaco.
Let me respond to a couple of questions that have come up recently, and some great conspiracy theories that are floating around that say that if what you just said was true, then okay. But there are some people that are saying, "Gee, it's starting to look a lot like Frank and Ray are in it together." Is there any collusion? You sat next to Tom Fisher, according to Chris Barnett at the Election Commission last night.
There is no collusion. There is no collusion in this regard. Like I shared with you a little earlier, Ray, and to your listeners, that Alicia and I are concentrating on our campaign, on getting our message out, and we want to make sure that we do that as clearly and as succinctly as we possibly can, understanding that we're down to 3 weeks, possibly 3 weeks before the general election. We have our task cut out for us, and we recognize that, and that's why we're taking every opportunity to be able to reach out and to get as much support as we possibly can. And it's all about our people, the grassroots, and the upswelling of our people coming out and extending their support. And let me say this.
It's not the first time a Democrat has talked so sincerely and so lovingly about the grassroots. And to be sure, is that a way of saying, well, we're the people, we're the middle class, we're the grassroots, not those elites over there.
But you know, Ray, I mean Alicia, she's also chiming because Alicia and I are everyday people. How can I not speak about our grassroots when, in fact, this is where I'm at? I'm concerned about paying my obligations just like everyone else. As a matter of fact, when the pay raise was rescinded, yeah, there were considerations about the margin that we would be losing on my home front, but that wasn't the issue. It was listening to our people. What did our people want? And they wanted the pay raise for elected officials rescinded, and that's exactly what I advocated for, and we were successful in accomplishing. So, Ray, you know, it's our people, and this campaign is about our people.
Thanks for the coffee, bro.
Colombian, by the way.
No, it's exactly that's exactly what I get when I head off to that place. Alicia.
Yes.
It's always a pleasure seeing you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to assume I've got 30 seconds left to wrap up this hour here. I'm going to assume that I'll be hearing from you guys more often, that there's going to be waves and more rallies and things like that over the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Anything that we need to do to be able to reach out to our island and to our people and get our message out.
I appreciate you guys coming in here this morning.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, obviously we've got to lock the doors. It's do a better job of securing the place. I'm playing around. You know me. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. The radio station is KUSG. Got you. Fox News Live.
More bodies found in Florida. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Hurricane Michael now blamed for at least 26 deaths in 4 states as a grim search continues in the devastated Florida Panhandle.
Local police working off a list. Largely, they have exhausted that list. Pending the notification, they may be done with it, but you still have Task Force number 2 out here that's working the map, and they keep finding more people.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Mexico Beach, where the storm made landfall. President Trump says he's hoping for answers from the ongoing search for evidence in the suspected killing of a Washington Post contributor in Turkey. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
The president tells Fox Business Network's Trish Regan that he's continuing to monitor the situation with Saudi Arabia, which is suspected of being responsible for a missing Saudi journalist who's not been seen since entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul.
We're all looking at it together, but Turkey and Saudi Arabia are looking at it very strongly, and it depends whether or not the king or the crown prince knew about it, in my opinion. Number one, what happened, but whether or not they knew about it. If they knew about it, that would be bad.
South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is already blaming the Saudi royal family, saying he's prepared to, in his words, sanction the hell out of Saudi Arabia. Lisa?
Thanks, John. That interview on Trish Regan Primetime, 8 Eastern tonight on FBN. A record number of job openings helping to fuel a rally on Wall Street. The Dow up 547 points. Positive earnings reports, part of it, too.
You have 11% of the S&P 500 companies reporting. You have 7 Dow components reporting this week. We already heard from Goldman Sachs and also Johnson & Johnson, United Health. These are beating the street, and with that, that brings the optimism.
Fox Business Network's Nicole Petalides at the New York Stock Exchange. Netflix shares soaring 15% in after-hours trading after beating estimates in its earnings report. The S&P and the NASDAQ also up more than 2%. This is Fox News.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Calvo started with a simple handshake. As we celebrate 80 years, we extend a hand to all of you who have taken our hand in trust, to the dreamers and realists, the families, the businesses, the young at heart, and the old souls, our manumku and our children. From all of us to all of you, our deepest, happiest, and infinite thanks.
80 years here for you. 80 years thanks to you. Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust.
Sheriff's officials in Wisconsin about to hold their second news conference of the day on a missing teenage girl whose parents were killed.
Jamie has been described to those who know her as a sweet and shy 13-year-old who enjoys dancing and sports. She has been missing for a day and a half, and our community is concerned for her safety.
Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald saying earlier today that a 911 call was made from the family home where Jamie Kloss's parents were found dead with gunshot wounds yesterday. The FBI is leading the search. Fire officials in Austin temporarily banning all boating along the city's waterways as heavy rain and flooding continue to create dangerous conditions in parts of Texas. In Austin, that boating ban is going to last until Thursday. Late word that the interim CEO of USA Gymnastics has resigned just 4 days after taking the post as the organization works on reforms while enduring lawsuits over the sex abuse scandal involving former sports doctor Larry Nassar. The interim USAG chief, Mary Bono, had been criticized on several fronts, most recently for her criticism of a Nike ad featuring Colin Kaepernick. A new music video not sitting well with the White House.
Promoting his latest album, Dime Trap, rapper T.I., whose real name is Clifford Harris, tweeting a clip of a First Lady look-alike stripping in a mock Oval Office wearing heels, removing the controversial I Really Don't Care jacket. He captions, "Dear 45, I ain't Kanye." The First Lady's spokeswoman urging folks to boycott the rapper on Twitter, adding in a statement, "It's disrespectful and disgusting to portray her this way simply because of politics. These kinds of vulgar attacks only further the divisiveness and bias in our country. It needs to stop."
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. Game 3 of baseball's American League Championship Series tonight in Houston. The Red Sox and the Astros are tied at a game apiece. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959. Now you can start planning for the holidays by getting a personal Christmas loan from $1,000 up to $3,500. Family Finance has 3 convenient locations to serve you. Give them a call in Dededo, 633-4473, Hagana, 475-4545, and the Upper Tumon location on the 2nd floor of the Pacific Building at 647-5626. Get your Christmas loans today from Family Finance.
Taste the sizzle at Chili's with our new fajita flavors. Our signature fajitas are served with sliced bell peppers, caramelized onions, topped with chipotle garlic butter, and chopped cilantro. Build your fajita with over 16 ounces of tender grilled chicken, juicy steak, and a dozen pieces of seasoned grilled shrimp in the family fajita trio. All served with warm flour tortillas and fresh toppings like mixed cheese, guacamole, salsa, and pico de gallo. Experience bold, sizzling fajita flavors only at Chili's. More life happens here.
What would you do with unlimited internet? With Docomo Pacific, the possibilities are endless. Docomo Pacific is throwing off the data caps so you can enjoy more of the things you love. Watch, stream, download, and play with no end in sight. Stop by any of our stores or check out DocomoPacific.com to learn more. Life becomes limitless with Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Write-in gubernatorial candidate Senator Frank Uggan Jr. making a surprise appearance on The Point this morning with his running mate Alicia Lim Tiaco. Senator Uggan questioning the integrity of his gubernatorial rival Lou Leon Guerrero, accusing her camp of being responsible for the negative campaign ads attacking him and his running mate Lim Tiaco in the run-up to the August primary election. Lou Leon Guerrero has repeatedly denied responsibility for or knowledge of those attack ads, but Senator Uggan insists that he has metadata proving a link to the Leon Guerrero team, which he says he showed to the candidate following a meeting they had after the primary election in August, during which Leon Guerrero, he said, denied knowledge of those attack ads. Senator Uggan accused Leon Guerrero of being untruthful. Senator Uggan and his running mate, Alicia Lim Tiaco, both appearing on the program, said that they acknowledge that they're fighting an uphill battle to win election as write-in candidates in the November 6th election. In other news, Mike Fleisner, the general manager of the Guam Kmart, says the doors will remain open at the island's only Kmart outlet. We're not going anywhere, said Fleisner. We're going to have business as usual, he told the Guam Daily Post. Kmart's parent company, Sears Holding Corporation, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on Monday. Chapter 11 allows the company to reorganize unlike Chapter 7, which is liquidation of company assets. A Sears spokesman also confirming that Guam's Kmart is not scheduled for closures. Spokesman Howard Riffs providing the Post with a list of Sears and Kmart stores that will close, and Guam's Kmart is not one of them on that list of 65 stores that are slated to be shuttered. Guam's Kmart employs about 600 local residents. An article in the Wall Street Journal in January of this year noted that Guam's Kmart is one of the most profitable stores with $100 million in annual sales. We'll have more news after this.
One of the longest-running primary care clinics on Guam, the FHP Health Center, has been your convenient one-stop healthcare clinic for you and your family for many generations. FHP's highly trained and well-known medical, dental, and vision providers and their friendly clinical support team are here, ready to take care of you. In addition to the excellent care, FHP offers a full-service pharmacy, laboratory, radiology, and specialty care center in one location. FHP Health Center, our island, your clinic. Most insurance accepted, including Netcare, Aetna, and TRICARE.
There's a reason every day a Guam homeowner is getting a solar system installed by Micronesia Renewable Energy. It's because MRE is the most trusted name in solar. With more solar energy solutions than any other solar company on island, homeowners have a choice to go solar for zero money down or take the path to ownership. Whichever way, it keeps our skies blue and your pockets green. And with the most experienced solar technicians and an energy production guarantee, there are no worries. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, the smarter choice.
News time here at The Point is 11 minutes past 7 a.m. Just a few weeks into the 2019 fiscal year, and already the government of Guam is looking at more than an $8 million shortfall. That's because the Department of Rev and Tax has decided not to implement the real property tax increase. That, according to Public Auditor Benjamin Cruz. The real property tax increase is part of the 2019 budget law. It's projected to raise more than $8 million annually from roughly 400 property owners whose buildings or homes have an appraised value of $1 million or more. That revenue has already been allocated in this year's budget, but Cruz said he was shocked to learn that Rev and Tax would not be collecting that increase this year as expected. He warned that GovGuam is facing a self-inflicted deficit if it delays collections until the next fiscal year. Cruz wrote to Governor Calvo, who's the organically recognized tax commissioner, asking him to order the collection of that tax now. In response, the governor wrote back saying he warned Cruz in August, when he was still serving as Speaker of the Legislature, that the budget law was flawed. The governor pointed out that the budget bill changed only the property tax rate, but it didn't change the assessment date, which is in March. And as a result, the governor says the 2019 budget bill was passed after March of this year, and because the law can't be applied retroactively, the earliest date that the property tax can take effect is in the next fiscal year. If you want to ensure the new rate was effective immediately, said the governor to Cruz, you should have written it clearly into the legislation. Finally, Senator Frank Uggan Jr. and Alicia Limtiaco asking the Guam Election Commission to recognize a list of write-in names for their revived campaign for Adelup. Among the names that voters may enter on the write-in line that the Uggan Limtiaco team want to be recognized are Uggan Limtiaco, Frank and Alicia, and the word believe, which is their campaign slogan. At its meeting last night, the Election Commission chairwoman, Alice Tyron, said that the request to recognize those and other names would be addressed at the GEC's next meeting this Friday. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Mike and Ray now with a look at weather.
Frank took it. Can't find it. Mike, what'd you say the weather was going to be like today?
Guam.
Guam weather. Looking for it to be a little bit warm today. There it is. I found it mostly cloudy and hot. Scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. There's light and variable winds, highs near 88 degrees. Max afternoon heat index around 101. Overnight lows 79 degrees. Sunset tonight at 6. Sunset tonight at 6.
Yeah, and it'll be less than 6 by tomorrow.
Wow. And sunrise tomorrow morning about 6:11 a.m. So make plans. I mean, if you want to be someplace with a camera, and more people are doing that. I don't know if you've noticed, but it seems to me that more and more people are taking advantage of the spectacular sunsets that we've had. Mm-hmm. So you hit a beach, practically any beach on Guam around sunset, and there's more than one or two people sitting out there and taking pictures about every 5 minutes, because that's the groovy thing about sunsets on Guam. Yeah. 5 minutes from now, it will be even more spectacular, or in the very least, different. So that's news and weather together here on The Point.
Meet all the candidates up close and personal and find out why they deserve your vote. On Saturday, October 27th, you can meet them face-to-face during Micronesia Mall's One-on-One with the candidates. From 1 to 4 p.m., you can ask the tough questions, exchange views, express your concerns, or just get to know your candidates better. Hosted by Ray Gibson and broadcast on 93.3 The Point with the Facebook Live feed courtesy of Shooting Star Productions. Go one-on-one with the candidates. Saturday, October 27th, only at Micronesia Mall.
Absolutely. Let me see. 7:14 in the morning, and fantastic news. There's new chow to eat over at Wendy's. I don't know if you heard about this. They've got it. You know, these guys do burgers, right? I mean, it's a Wendy's thing, right? They love their burgers. They're putting on a new bacon classic cheeseburger with the applewood smoked bacon on a beef patty, melted cheese, all the vegetable fixings, and now their signature Sauce'em sauce. Wendy's new Sauce'em Bacon Classic. Have it in a single, double, or triple. It's a burger worth bragging about. So let me brag for them. Wendy's, quality is their recipe.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929 SAVE. That's 929-7283.
I'm just in a hurry to get through the commercial so I can go back to talking on the radio. Portions of the program brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with, yes, Micronesia Renewable Energy. Never been a better time to go solar. American President lines, they're shipping the future. Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your open heart surgery needs. And American Water Tech, smarter water, better water.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. On demand at thepoint.gu.
Well, that was unexpected fun. Frank and Alicia swinging by the radio set. I was so flummoxed. I was so out of my own skin. I couldn't remember his damn name. Which Frank are you again? And I said Frank Bloss. I started talking about Frank Bloss, who's online this morning and caught some of that. Larry El Cairo, Vicky Ganashis, Renee Ogo saying good morning. And where was the line? It was Lady D, I said, I think it was, that chimed in and said, oh, there's the loser that doesn't know when to quit. And then Josephine Leon Guerrero says, you only lose when you stop trying. I like that. Joe, I'm going to get that tattooed on. Teresa Arroyo Martinani is online. Chris from Bigger Better responding to somebody asking about the metadata. In fact, the comments that Frank and Alicia had made about metadata and being able to trace the kill, death hit pieces that were floating around the internet back to a particular office and a particular gentleman connected with, they believe, Lou Leon Guerrero's campaign. Lou Leon Guerrero last week on this program and yesterday on another program denied vehemently any involvement and her lack of approval or authority over any of the kill, death hit pieces.
I'm not going to say that they haven't done what they think they've done, but anyone who's engaging in that type of activity is going to be on a VPN and all kinds of other ways to hide so that they can't actually truthfully identify them.
Well, and the other thing is, yeah, if I was involved with it, I'd deny it too. What did she say? What are you going to do to keep your hands out of our pocket, make life easier for the people, and keep their promises? You might want to see if you can go. Guam Daily Post has a copy of the speech that they made over at the rally. There might be some platform things in there. Carmen Leon Guerrero, this one here, I'm glad I didn't read it while I was drinking coffee because it would have shot out my nose. OMG, Frank, get over yourself. I see Greg Massey is there. Chris from Big Abetta says, Ken, if people can't follow directions, their votes are spoiled. It's a plain read. That's the debate that Chris and Ken have been involved with forever. Ken LG writing in this morning, people power will trump political power. Get over it. And there's a nice little back and forth here between Big Abetta. Chris also recognizing something that I had asked about the conspiracy, that there is some kind of collusion between Frank and Ray Tenorio. Those two camps getting together. We must beat Lou at all costs. And Chris says, in the entire 30-minute speech that Frank Uggan gave at the rally on Saturday night, not one single disparaging word about Ray the entire time. Well, if the battle is to force a runoff, right, that's the thing. The battle here, ask anybody, is the runoff. I mean, do you really think, does anybody really think that a write-in campaign at the gubernatorial level is going to work at this point? Do you really believe, notwithstanding the 76 Circle K coffee cup thing, is there anybody out there that believes that a write-in campaign at the gubernatorial level, 2.5 weeks away from the general election, is going to work?
It's certainly going to make things a lot more interesting.
Well, and thank God, because it's talk radio. That's what we do here for a living. And so that in my mind is the deal. We got to force that runoff one way or another. And they are looking at a runoff between them and Lou, not necessarily a runoff between them and Ray. So that's the win, if you ask me. Andre Bainham chiming in this morning. Better them than the gun grabber and the money grabber. There's Frank Gumatautau, GW. Gary Frank says, I trust anyone who puts people before party. Natalie Kanat has chimed in this morning. I know she's joined up, and my guess is that she's just listening in the house, laughing her head off. Ken Joe Ada, who is going to hit me with some philosophy at some point. I see Tony Babauta there, Dave Duenas, Jerry Roberts. We'll get to Jerry in a second. Carla Haddock, Ray Haddock, both of them different computers. Yeah, we got big marks here on on the Facebook Live viewing. Ken LG, your pledge crap is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Oh my God, we got people quoting Shakespeare. I've got people quoting Shakespeare. This is great. This is going to be one of those mornings, guys. The comment section is going to be more entertaining than anything that comes out of my mouth. So I suggest that you find a way to bipolar your paying attention to what's on the screen and what is actually coming out of my mouth. Naturally, it's Facebook Live. All of this stuff will be available as a video on demand, and it will live into perpetuity on Facebook and YouTube forever. Is it time to take a look at what happened on the market? I'd say yeah. Hey, looks like the Dow Jones Industrial has switched tacks here. They are up 547 points, 25,798. Maybe by the end of the week they'll gone back to where they were before the anti-rally started. The Nasdaq is at 7645, up by 214 points. So I'm going to do something that'll make people crazy. You know why? Because Trump. That's why. So when the market goes down, it's somebody else's fault. But when the markets are up, that's Trump, dude. S&P 500 at 2,809. They're up by 59 points as well. FTSE's going to open in the green. The Nikkei is up by 277 points, 22,549 for those of you that are still watching that particular index. Hang Seng at 1720 and the Shanghai at 2546. Frankly, the only reason why I look at the Nikkei anymore is it's tradition. It's legion. It's legend. Me and my old man were always of the belief that the Dow Jones Industrial Average, as an index, as a market, has very little impact in anything that's going on Guam. The one that has the greater impact is the Nikkei, because that affects how much it costs Japanese to be able to buy dollars when they come to Guam. Anyway, 7:22 in the morning, and the other numbers I like to look at. Where's gold today? Gold was at $1,228, trading inside a very narrow range, off by only a couple of dollars here today. Now, West Texas crude, $71.83. That's a little bit more than what it was selling for yesterday. But the very good news is that Tapis seems to be tumbling a little bit. I got Tapis trading at $82.67 today. Yesterday it was $84 and a couple of pennies. So it is moving, friends, in the right direction. And we'll keep an eye on the rest of the numbers and see if there's any other big stories that are floating now. Netflix surging after crushing earnings. Is that why the Nasdaq is up as high as it is? I gotta check on. Can I just? I love Netflix, except when I hate Netflix. If that makes any kind of sense. This is like something Ken Joe would say, right? I love Netflix, except when I hate Netflix. I like the idea that it has allowed me the opportunity to cut a cable that comes into my house. I'm just purely internet now at the house. If I need a phone, I got a couple of phones laying around with a couple of different numbers. But the rest of the time, you're looking for some kind of entertainment. You go to Netflix, and it is paralysis by analysis. Yeah. There are just so many shows that they can toss at you, and this is all like new shows that they're making just for Netflix as a telecommunications entity. So it's hard for me to settle on any one thing. And then this week they made it worse. They made it worse. What? They've got Monty Python.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay, did you see how many different Monty Pythons they've got, too?
Well, you got to scroll
There's
over
a whole thing of just Monty Pythons, right? They got Monty Python movies, and they got Monty Python TV shows, and they got Monty Python.
They got just bits that are isolated?
Yeah, just the bits. I'm going, what do you do? Now I've got to try to figure out which one of these I want to watch.
One thing I can credit Netflix for, bringing me back to the awareness of the wonderfulness of the opening theme to Star Trek Voyager.
There you go. Listen, Nick Perlowski, here's another quote. Listen, I'm a politician, which means I'm a cheat and a liar. And when I'm not kissing babies, I'm stealing their lollipops. But it also means I keep my options open. Can anybody identify the movie that's from? Can you do it? You can't? Hunt for Red October.
Oh, okay.
There's a Hunt for Red October.
Yeah.
Anyway, 7:25. I completely forgot where I'm supposed to be in the program. Jerry Roberts, Extra Point, right? All right. He's not live today. I'm sorry. There's just
see what effect Frank has on you.
No, I'm distracted. You know me. I'm distracted by every little thing to begin with, and now I'm processing and thinking out loud, and then I'm thinking inside my head and trying to figure out where we're going to find in the 4 hours or the 3 or so hours that we've got left in the program where all of this stuff is going to lay out. Because if you ask me, there's still plenty of questions out there, aren't there?
For sure. The rubber balls that are your thoughts are bouncing around off the trampoline walls of your mind.
Exactly. Careening, if you will. It's 7:26 in the morning. We'll do it, Jerry Roberts in the Extra Point. Headlines and traffic, and I promise I will straighten my brain out here in just a sec.
Yesterday, we began to talk about nepotism based upon a request by listener Elwin Catano. We focused mostly on how it applies to the government of Guam. I'm Jerry Roberts, and today we broaden our view a bit and see if nepotism can ever be productive. That's next on The Extra Point. Yesterday, we discussed that nepotism is not prohibited by GovGuam, but there are some limitations, and those can be waived for quote-unquote the good of the government service. When people think of nepotism, it's always in the framework of unfairness and people gaining benefits without merit. We immediately take the stance that somebody is getting away with something and at the expense of someone else. Is it fair on our part to do that? I raised questions yesterday before signing off. Let me repeat them now. How much nepotism is there in GovGuam? How many jobs have been given out because of family ties or even close friendships? Has government performance suffered as a result? What proof is there that a specific downturn or failing on the part of GovGuam can be attached to nepotism? Would such proof stand up in a court of law or only in the court of public opinion? I don't know. And I think it would be a huge undertaking to get those answers, especially an analysis of the true impact of nepotism on trackable GovGuam performance. Now, for those who want to eliminate all such hirings in the future, I'm not sure that's going to happen, at least not anytime soon. That said, we can set standards that could yield something beneficial, whether we're dealing in government or the private sector. So let's say you'd like to hire a relative or close friend. What might you consider? Number 1, make sure they have the requisite skills to do the job, or will commit to intensive training to add them. If they're getting paid for something they really can't do, it doesn't look good. 2, let your team know why you're hiring this person and reassure them that the playing field is level in your operation. 3, if you are not their supervisor, make sure they know to respect the person who is. They can't be running to you every time they don't get their way. Number 4, let your relative or friend know you don't expect them to be as good as everybody else. You expect them to be better, to work harder, to make a bigger commitment. But is that fair to them? Maybe not. However, if they deliver less than that, you're inviting people to bark about nepotism. Everything they do, good or bad, right or wrong, will reflect upon you. And number 5, manage them just like any other worker. On the job, it's all business. Hold them accountable for results, and building relationships and respect with other workers is up to them. If you're walking this path and want to try to turn nepotism from a negative to a positive, I hope there's something in all of this that helps. That's The Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3 in The Ray Gibson Show, I'm Jerry Roberts.
Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate it. 7:29 in the morning, and also a point is the risks that Jerry did today and yesterday were based on a request from Elwin Catano on the Facebook Live, and so we're all about that kind of interaction. If you've got some thoughts about training, if you've got thoughts about employment, if you've got thoughts about management, if you've got thoughts about being a good employee, and just go ahead and ask it on the Facebook Live, and I'll bounce that back to Jerry Roberts, or go to his website, GuamTraining.com. Now, normally Tuesdays are the Double Jerry Day, but looks like Wednesday is the Double Jerry Day today. The work zone is in this morning's Guam Daily Post. Today, he responds to a question, got a new job? What do you do? Well, do this. And he outlines in the Daily Post all the steps that you need to take if you would like to be the next great exemplary employer or memorable employee in a new business, in a new shop. Hey, it's 7:30 in the morning. Headlines coming up next.
At Guam Regional Medical City, it is our mission to become the island's premier choice for specialty care, like cardiology, pulmonology, neurosciences, orthopedics, oncology services, and more. We aim to protect our island from heart attacks, strokes, cancer, and diabetic complications. But should you suffer from such diseases, we're ready with world-class options, both inpatient and outpatient. For more information, visit us at grmc.gu.
Don't have time for the full traffic cast right now, but I do need to tell you that it is ugly between Estumbo and the intersection of 1 and 3. Also, the intersection at the Fatima Mobile next to the new Farmers Market area is slowing and all of that right now. Don't see any other bad spots, but we'll take a full review of it here in just a second. Right now, time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Managing Editor Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, the Guam Attorney General has ruled that an across-the-board GovGuam hiring freeze written into the 2019 budget law cannot be enforced because it encroaches on the authority of the executive branch and violates the Organic Act. The opinion issued Monday by Attorney General Elizabeth Barrett Anderson reinforces the position taken by Governor Calvo, who stated in early September that the legislature cannot manage hiring for the other branches of GovGuam. The freeze is supposed to be in effect now and throughout the first quarter of this fiscal year, as called for in the current budget law passed by lawmakers. Department of Administration Director Edward Byrne, however, sought the opinion in a letter to the AG on October 5th, asking if the freeze violated the doctrine of the separation of powers. In her response, Barrett Anderson said the hiring freeze in the current budget law is no different from an earlier freeze attempted several years ago that was ultimately voided because it violated the separation of powers in the Organic Act. The lawsuit that community activist Ken Leon Guerrero filed against the Guam Election Commission will not be decided until after the general election. He's asking the court to require all valid votes on primary election ballots to be counted, even if the ballot has already been voided because one of those votes on the ballot was a crossover. There were 907 ballots voided in the August primary because of crossover votes. Leon Guerrero is also asking the court to order a hand count of all the ballots cast during that primary election. A scheduling conference to determine how the case will proceed has been set for the end of November, a few weeks after the November 6th general election. Leon Guerrero said he will be amending his lawsuit with the aim of requiring the Election Commission to count all valid votes on a primary ballot, regardless of whether the vote was made on the Democratic or Republican side of that ballot. Guam Department of Education reporting that there was an increase in both the graduation and dropout rates in the past school year compared to the 2016-17 school year. But the increase in graduations outpaced the increase in dropouts this past school year, according to DOE's report. The graduation rate was up by 2.5% to 84.5%, more than 15% higher than 7 years ago, according to the report. The dropout rate rising slightly from 2.4% to 2.6% in the last school year. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
It's 7:34, and that's iConnect time. Swing by iConnect or call them at 888-8888 and ask them about why they are the practical choice, and they'll fill your ears with their great plans on push-to-talk and mobile and internet. 888-8888, that's the phone number for iConnect.
If you can dream uncommon design and unprecedented engineering, you define the 2018 Lexus. The boldly designed IS Sports Sedan's aggressive design stimulates the senses.
Advanced paddle shifting puts the exhilarating performance of the IS Sports Sedan at your fingertips. With deep, luxurious seating, the ES350 offers an ultimate level of comfort, while cutting-edge engineering delivers a thrilling drive.
Put yourself in a 2018 Lexus.
Now with special incentives.
At Atkins Kroll.
It's 7:35 in the morning. Looking forward to October the 27th. That's a Saturday, 1 to 4 at the Micronesia Mall. And I think we're going to be doing. They're going to move the Zumba stage out of the way and make room for me and a whole bunch of candidates that I will be interviewing at that place. And sorry, it's another one of those shiny things. Somebody on Facebook with a picture, with a video. It's a video of me wearing those shorts. Yeah, I'm sorry. What was I saying? 1 to 4 at the Micronesia Mall. It's one-on-one with the candidates, and we're all going to be down there. Republicans and Democrats and write-ins are going to be lurking over the place, and we will broadcast it live here on 93.3 The Point. It will also be broadcast on Facebook Live, our Facebook Live page, and you'll be able to chime in and interact, and maybe even provide me with some questions if I can do it in real time, to be able to pose to some of the candidates that we'll be talking to. How much fun is that going to be? So check it out, one-on-one with the candidates at the Micronesia Mall, October 27th from 1 to 4.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. My name is Alicia Blas from Agate, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Putehi Igumamu. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
It's funny. Yeah, it's a video of me wearing those shorts, and it's boomerang, too. Yeah, how exciting is that? 7:37. Didn't realize I was being filmed. It's where am I? 7:37 in the morning, and time to take a look at what's going on in traffic. As I said, ugly line from Stombo through Ugadoo and down to Marine Corps Drive between 1 and 3. It's not going to be pretty. Also, not pretty coming out of the area that has got the new farmers market spilling onto Marine Corps Drive. It'll slow down through there, and a lot of traffic coming out of Jigo and into Dededo. Haven't even really got into Dededo. Hardly past Waiseng Song before the traffic starts to build up. 8, 10, and 16, not pretty between the post office and Happy Mart. Also between Happy Mart intersection and the One Good intersection to Teedson, beginning to build up there. Traffic moving in the opposite direction from 8 onto 8, 10, and 16. Also a little bit heavy. Traffic beginning to build over by the University of Guam, that intersection on Route 10. 10 and 15 open right now from 4 and 10. That's looking good. You might see a line of traffic up in front of the church around Pago, but should be clear sailing all the way into Agana. Still nothing major in front of Anderson Air Force Base, Navy Hospital, or Big Navy. What, did we give the military a day off today? It's real quiet in the traffic scene here. 7:38, that's right now. Traffic into Point.
Get a 20-ounce stainless steel Circle K Coffee Club tumbler. Just stop into any Circle K, sign up for our Power Pass rewards program, and after your purchase of 15 cups of premium coffee, any size, you get your tumbler for free. While supplies last, conditions apply. See store for details. Get a 20-ounce stainless steel Circle K Coffee Club tumbler. Just swipe your Power Pass key fob when you purchase Circle K Premium Coffee, any size, and after 15 cups, you'll get your tumbler for free. While supplies last, conditions apply. See store for details.
Have a running skirmish on Facebook Live between Kenley and Guerrero and Chris, and it's all has to do with the question about whether or not the Guam Election Commission should have counted a bunch of different votes, and that's in court, and it doesn't look like that issue is going to get resolved until after the election, and probably after the runoff. Don't look for any kind of closure on that one in particular. Although I did find a piece of statute that seemed to indicate. That there might be something to the idea that just because there was an overvote, say, on one part of the ballot, it should not negate everything else on that piece of paper.
That's Ken's argument.
Yeah. There is paper. I mean, and that's in statute. It's not a question of policy at the Guam Election Commission. It's actually written in statute, although not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily answer a question that you would find in a case before them when we're discussing the count of votes. It's actually part of a statute that refers to what constitutes a ballot cast in a race where they're trying to determine whether or not we've achieved that majority, that 50% plus one. So I mean, a couple of different ways of looking at it. 888-8255 is the telephone number around here. That's 888-TALK. 988-5874 is our WhatsApp number. Again, 988-5874. If you've got some images that you'd like to share, I've posted one up on Facebook here this morning of the surprise visit by Frank Uggan and Alicia Limtiaco swinging by the radio station. If for no other reason, to give me 76 Circle K coffee. And naturally, there's a couple of they gave me the sleeves that say "Write In." You would assume that would be what they did, and so I got the coffee, and I've got a little bit of a coup on the radio and the talk radio business here this morning. But the other thing is, we get a glimpse a little bit more into what the nature of the battle is going to be between Lou and Frank. Not between Lou and Ray, not between Frank and Ray, but Lou and Frank. Frank comes in and begins the process of detailing the kind of character that is Lou Leon Guerrero by illustrating that there were lies. She lied to him.
That's what he said. Yeah.
So, was it lies about the metadata, the source of the kill death hit pieces?
And call center.
And the call center, right? And what was it? What was the other one? Do you remember? Neither do I. Guess
those were the two principals.
The ones that stand out in my. But there was one more thing that he said that he felt like he was being lied to by Lou, which is why he felt that he could not give her campaign the endorsement the same way that, say, Carl T.C. Gutierrez has.
It'll be interesting to hear the response from Lou and Josh on this.
If there is any kind of response whatsoever, as I said, she has already vehemently denied that the kill death hit pieces came from her.
Right.
And whether or not there's call centers out there, I don't know. Is there phone? Who are the phone bankers calling? Talk radio? Is that what they're calling? Are they calling? Are they making prank calls to Frank and Alicia?
We know sometimes in the past they have made calls to the radio stations,
absolutely.
haven't they?
Absolutely.
No surprise there.
I just presume they don't call me here because they know I'm smarter than that. That's, again, my presumption. 7:42 in the morning, 888-8255. That's 888-TALK. If you want to jump into the conversation and talk about whatever it is that is on your mind. Certainly politics and political gossip is the big deal. It is the order of the day, if you will, because we're 20 days away from the general election. Can you imagine? 20 days. Have you decided who you're going to vote for? Is that out there? There's surveys that have been taken. And again, we've got the survey that Dr. Ron McNinch did that shows Lou Leon Guerrero with better than the 50% plus one that she needs to get herself elected and avoid a runoff. There's I think there's another survey that they did that was looking at senatorial candidates and what they think based on the survey, who they think the top 15 are going to be. And I've forgotten while I had a chance to pull that down. Weekly poll results from 76 and Circle K here. Lou Leon Guerrero, 28%. This is the one with the sleeves, right? 28% for Lou Leon Guerrero, 22% for Tenorio, and 50% for the write-in. And I joke with Frank, as you guys must be drinking a lot of coffee in the Believe camp these days, and maybe taking up a residence over at 76 Circle K to get all of this stuff done. As I'm fond of saying, I cannot speak to the veracity of this particular poll. I would like to say that it is 100% accurate because 76 and Circle K are among the sponsors of several programs that we've got here in Choice Broadcasting, and we appreciate that. But the other part of it is I am a little bit worried that it might not be a true reflection of the sentiments of people that are going to be voting in this campaign. You know, is it possible there's just a whole lot more everyday people, as Frank puts it, grassroots, somebody, salt of the earth, my guy, that get their coffee fixed from a gas station, as opposed to, you know, the elites that get their coffee. What? You want to say it?
No, I was just going to say there's probably a conspiracy here. Because the other two sides are buying all of the write-in cups to give them hope.
No, maybe that's what it is. It's Ray's already told his people, buy all the write-in ones.
That's right. Yeah.
Don't worry about me. I got this. Yeah. Just buy all the write-ins.
Give him hope. Like
7:45.
Like a little hole at the end of the golf course.
7:45, 888-8255, and joining me now, just because it's interesting that we finally got a cool issue that we can yak about with Public Auditor Cruz. Good morning, Beach.
Good morning.
How you doing there?
Okay.
Where are we going tonight?
I don't know. Where do you want to go?
Lacia's got a fundy.
Okay. We had drinks last night.
I heard. I
heard.
Yeah. Hey, did she show you the boomerang she took of me wearing those shorts?
No, but I saw that photo of you at the chamber mixer with. You look really good in orange and blue.
Thank you very much. It's exactly the image that I'm trying to portray these days. At any rate, Public Auditor B.J. Cruz on the line this morning, and on the line with concerns as has been expressed with the Department of Revenue and Taxation, basically ignoring what he thinks is an important platform in the budget for 2019, and that is a tax increase on certain properties that are valued in excess of $1 million. Tell me fill in the back on this, and then tell me why you're concerned about the Department of Revenue and Taxation slow-walking it.
Well, the back story on this is that during the budget process, we were trying to balance the budget, and one of the recommendations that came through back channels from Adelup was, increasing property tax and giving us a breakdown of how much we could possibly get from increasing all the property tax, just a certain portion, just over $1 million, and the word that we got was that they had records that would show that if we just increased the tax of those over $1 million, we'd raise a little over $8 million in new revenue.
Where did you say this? The back channel from Adelup?
Yeah. Well, I mean, people were giving us suggestions on where money could come from. And we had no idea how large the pool was, $1 million properties, and how much the tax would be. But yes, Raymond, it's possible. I really do work across aisles and work with people to try to
well, but it just makes it sound like they said they offered it up and said there's an opportunity to make another $8 million in the 2019 budget without hitting the everyman in the wallet. So maybe there's a way to go. And then you put it in the budget, and now we've got Adelup basically throwing it back at you, saying we told you this was flawed. You didn't fix the rest of the law to make it effective immediately.
We made it effective immediately by not putting a delayed effective date on it.
Mm-hmm.
It became effective the day that it was signed, because remember back in August when the law lapsed, they were arguing that the no effective date meant that they didn't know when they were supposed to increase the tobacco tax.
Right.
And when they asked the AG immediately told them no. The law became effective the day that it lapsed into law, and so in fact it was an Adelup press release that showed that this is the new tobacco tax. But I was surprised to find that divisions within Rev and Tax weren't talking to each other, because obviously the director knew and Adelup knew that the tobacco tax was to be effective August 24th.
Okay.
But the real property tax divisions were still thinking they were waiting for a press release. I mean, not a press release, but Attorney General opinion on that issue, and decided, well, I guess we'll put it into effect next year, and we'll start collecting it during the FY 2020 tax year.
To the governor's point, Beach, to the governor's point, he says that we can't make it applied retroactively, and the taxes have already been assessed for 2019. Did you put any stock in that statement?
No, the amount that if that's the position that he's taking, he's going to be $8 million short in the budget, because that was one of the tax increases that was supposed to generate $8 million.
Well, I guess the point is, so when they did the tax assessment in March, they did not assess or notify these businesses or these individuals with properties that are valued in excess of $1 million, and they can't go backwards and do it now because the assessment has already been made. So is there going to be a new assessment for 2019, or is it true what the governor says that we can't do anything until March of next year?
That's why I said one of two things: either delay it or get an Attorney General opinion. And if that's a opinion of the Attorney General, then fine. I will live with it. I just am reminding him that the budget bill that he allowed to lapse included an $8 million revenue increase to balance the budget, and that is not going to be implemented or realized during the fiscal year that amount was to be was going to assist. So I just wanted to point it out that they were putting it off, and if he wants to, or if he believes that that's the way that it's supposed to go,
then so be it, but recognize that you're going to be off balance.
I can't tell him to do anything. I'm just pointing it out that there's an issue here.
You mentioned in the press release the risk costly litigation should it attempt to properly enforce the law in the future.
Well, if we don't do it before the tax rolls go out by the end of this month, and people aren't able to challenge it before the Board of Equalization during the next couple of months before the tax bills are sent out in January, we may have some problems.
I'll ponder that a little bit more. Further on the governor's letter back to you, he says, on another note, the Office of Attorney General has noted the hiring freeze in 34-116, which is the budget bill that you introduced, violates the doctrine of separation of powers and is inorganic. And I think that's the second of the "so there" moments in that letter. Do you want to respond to that?
That's fine. We were just pointing out that we had agreed that there was a financial crisis, and maybe you were right in screaming at me saying that there was none, and maybe the governor.
Well, if they've got a chance to go after $8 million on these, based on the new tax, on the new budget that you guys sent over, and they're walking away from it, that's further evidence that the fiscal crisis was a sham. There's an opportunity for them to make money, and they're saying, well, we're not going to do it because we want to tell you were wrong.
Okay, well, I'm not going to, it's going to be, the executive is the one that's supposed to collect it. If they're not going to collect it, then they should just be planning for the fact that they're going to be short.
Well, somebody, one of three different teams is going to have to deal with that next year, apparently. You mentioned the tobacco taxes and the application of those effective immediately based on the Attorney General's opinion, and I think the plain read of the English language. But there's another tobacco tax question. I know that you were very, very interested when you took on the office of the public accountability. Is the $14 million that has apparently been settled away over at the Department of Revenue and Taxation against MidPAC. Has there been anything new in your investigation of what happened there?
No, we're still trying to get some additional information to do a further audit. We're in training right now, and one of the things that we're being taught by the trainer is you can do an audit and you have a specific mission. The OPA did the earlier audit this year and pointed out a problem with the way that it's functioning. And then we have this, as the instructor puts it, KIV, keep in view, if there's a problem with this $14 million. And so we may need to do a completely separate audit on that one if we can't get as we're following up, if we find out that revenue tax isn't doing anything about the recommendations and criticisms that
are there any documents other than the settlement agreement that are under seal?
I have no idea. We're still trying to follow up and get some answers.
You think that'd be fairly easy to cough up some documentation? This is the paperwork that we have or don't have with regard to the movement of apparently a serious amount of taxable items.
One would have thought that, as was pointed out throughout the audit report, the records within the departments weren't being kept well, and the attempt by the OPA to get the manufacturers to share their manifest with us was unsuccessful. So that was the reason why I asked the Attorney General to see if we could enforce it through our master settlement agreement, which requires us to enforce tax laws.
There's a question from a listener here about maybe if you could check out what the retailers have been up to, because the taxes paid at the wholesale side upon removal from the warehouse, retailers had already kicked up the price of the tobacco in recognition that they were going to be paying an additional tax on them to the tune of $1, right?
Right.
Okay. And according to at least this listener and a smoker at that, the cigarettes are now $2 higher than before the tax.
I don't know. I guess I'll have to send somebody out to
investigate. So what's happening with the price of cigarettes in this town? I know that's not going to be a problem for you. It's one of those things where you're like, well, then quit smoking. Stop buying cigarettes and save your $2. 7:56. BJ, I appreciate your time as usual. I'll talk to you pretty soon. Maybe see you tonight.
Okay.
And if you do, I will be wearing those shorts.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
I'm sorry. I just have a good time with myself. When I die, I want to come back as me again. It's 7:57 in the morning, and as I said, that was one of the more interesting things that came out yesterday. You might have heard Bob Klitsky on Tall Tales riffing on that for a little bit. The BJ Crew's concerned that the real property tax has been unenforced by the Department of Revenue and Taxation. He believes that it is enforceable immediately. The governor of Guam has a different idea about it. He says, well, the problem is, the rate has gone up. You didn't do anything about the assessment that already took place in March. We won't have another assessment until March of next year, which means that we won't see any of this additional money until 2020 to begin with. So, and BJ's like, well, okay, if that's the way you're looking at things over there, just realize that there is going to be a serious imbalance to the tune of about $8 million worth of unrealized taxes. Personally, for me, I don't like the idea of any taxes going up, and I know that they tried to soften the blow by saying, well, it'll only apply to people that have that have properties that are assessed in excess of $1 million, and that doesn't apply to the house that I'm living in. I don't think it applies to a whole bunch of different places around here, but it will apply on some places, on some properties that will be assessed beyond $1 million. And what they're going to do, probably not all private residences. So what's going to happen is the people that own these multiplexes, apartment buildings, are going to say, well, I got to pay more in taxes. That means that the Joe Everyman, the grassroots, the salt of the earth that live in these apartments, these little dwellings, these little condo dwellings, they're going to get pinched. And so while we're trying to say, well, this is only going to affect the rich people, their businesses, and as I'm fond of saying, businesses don't pay taxes. Business, repeat after me, business don't pay taxes. Businesses collect taxes from their customers and pass them along. We'll take that and send that to the Department of Revenue and Taxation. So there we are in a nutshell. BJ Cruz versus and the fun between BJ Cruz and Governor Eddie Jerome Baza Calvo continues, even though he's working in a different office. 8 o'clock in the morning already, huh? Coming up, we got Fox News Live on the other side of that. Kevin Kerrigan with a look at all the big stories. And Blake Watson and Michael Knight and myself, we're all going to pretend to talk about sports for a little bit after that. We got a whole rest of the program going. Interesting comments on Facebook Live. Do we still have the running skirmish between Ken and Chris, or has that died down a little bit? Maybe it's gone between everybody else. I'm going to read some of these comments while the news is playing. Here it comes. Oh, yeah. KUSG. I got you.
Bodies recovered. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Hurricane Michael now blamed for at least 26 deaths across the South, most in Bay County, Florida, where the storm roared ashore as a Category 4 as the search continues for any survivors that may be buried in rubble.
Yeah, the local police working off a list. Largely, they have exhausted that list. Pending the notification, they may be done with it, but you still have Task Force number 2 out here that's working the map, and they keep finding more people.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Mexico Beach. The FBI searching looking for a Wisconsin teen who's been missing since her parents were found shot to death in their home. Fox's Colonel Scott has more live.
Elisa, state police and federal agents are looking for Jamie Kloss. She was last seen at a family gathering on Sunday, hours before her parents were found dead. Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald says hundreds of tips have come in, but he can't be specific on the disappearance or the deaths.
I have indicated there was a shooting at the scene. I haven't commented on the manner of death or any other manner, and I will not comment on that.
Sheriff Fitzgerald did address a video out of Florida describing someone who fit the girl's description as not credible, but he does believe the girl is in danger, Lisa.
Gerdal, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo with another stop overseas as the U.S. works to find out what happened to missing journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
The Secretary just announced that they will be meeting and going to Turkey to meet with the foreign minister there. This is where this investigation is ongoing. The Turkish have partnered with the Saudis to try to figure out exactly what has happened there. And also, this happens just a few days after the American pastor Andrew Brunson was sentenced to time served in Turkey, really the first a positive development in the U.S.-Turkish relationship over the last couple of years.
Fox's Rich Edson at the State Department. Khashoggi was last seen early this month entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Wall Street at the close. The Dow added 547. This is Fox News.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
A new round of sanctions against Iran.
As part of the U.S. economic campaign against Iran, the Treasury Department is targeting a network of businesses that provides financial support to a paramilitary force in Iran, which, according to the White House, trains and deploys child soldiers to fight with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard. Treasury is also sanctioning several banks and others affiliated with the network of at least 20 corporations and financial institutions. The sanctions prohibit Americans from doing business with the network or its affiliates. The sanctions also freeze assets the network has under U.S. jurisdiction. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
A former Equifax manager sentenced to 8 months home confinement for insider trading in the wake of the company's massive data breach last year. Sudhakar Reddy Banthu, who worked as a software product development manager, had pled guilty in July. Banthu is not a U.S. citizen and faces possible deportation as a result of the felony conviction. An Idaho Fish and Game Commissioner has resigned after photos of an African hunt appeared online.
Blake Fisher, one of 7 unpaid Fish and Game Commissioners in Idaho, reportedly sent photos to friends and co-workers from his hunting trip in Africa, which included pictures of him standing over a family of baboons that he killed. Fisher also reportedly shot a giraffe, a leopard, and an impala. And though he defends his action, saying nothing he did was illegal, colleagues say it doesn't make it right. The Idaho Statesman reports Fisher has apologized for sending the photos to friends. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Apparently, Lady Gaga is getting married. Gaga thanked Christian Carino as she finished speaking last night at Elle's 25th annual Women in Hollywood event, referring to him as her fiancé. A message from the AP seeking comment, though, was not returned. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs,
or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
We're surrounded by sound. There are sounds that you need to hear. There are sounds that you want to hear. And there are sounds that you long to hear. Hear it all, louder and clearer than ever before. If you or someone you know has a hard time hearing, Guam Hearing Doctors can help using state-of-the-art test gear to evaluate your hearing and coming up with a plan to make your life better by making your hearing better. Call Guam Hearing Doctors for an appointment or visit them on the web at guamhearingdoctors.com. Fuso trucks are sold, rented, and serviced exclusively on Guam by Morrico Equipment. Available in van body, reefer body, freezer body, or flatbed designs. Fuso trucks specialize in the smaller delivery and service market. Perfect for business on Guam. Serviced by qualified technicians. Fuso trucks are part of the Daimler Truck and Freightliner truck family. Sales, rental, parts, service, and fully maintained lease finance from MorricoEquipment.com. Call Morrico on Ipoh Road at 649-1946.
Docomo Pacific is making the Better Together bundle even better. 2 great services plus more. Get unlimited local calls, SMS, and 20 gigs of data, plus unlimited home internet for $109 a month. Sign up today and get free installation and choose between a free Galaxy S8, S8 Plus, or $100 off select devices. Mobile plus online from Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. See store for details.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 8 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Write-in gubernatorial candidate Senator Frank Uggan Jr. and his running mate Alicia Lim Tiaco making a surprise visit to The Point this morning. Senator Uggan questioning the integrity of gubernatorial rival Leon Guerrero, accusing her camp of being responsible for the negative campaign ads attacking the Uggan Lim Tiaco team in the run-up to the August primary election, and accusing her of responsibility for negative phone calls to voters coming out of a call center. Leon Guerrero has repeatedly denied responsibility for or knowledge of those attack ads, but Senator Uggan insists that he has metadata proving a link to the Leon Guerrero Tenorio team, which he says he showed to the candidate following a meeting after the primary election, which he lost, during which Leon Guerrero denied knowledge of the attack ads or the phone calls. Senator Uggan said Leon Guerrero is being untruthful. General manager of the Guam Kmart says the doors will remain open at the Tumon retailer. We're not going anywhere, said General Manager Mike Fleissner. We're going to have business as usual, he told the Guam Daily Post. Kmart's parent company, Sears Holding Corporation, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy Monday. Chapter 11 allows the company to reorganize, unlike Chapter 7, which results in liquidation. A Sears spokesman also confirming that Guam's Kmart is not scheduled for closure. Spokesman Howard Reefs provided the Post with a list of Sears and Kmart stores that will be closed, and Guam's Kmart is not one of the 65 stores slated to be shuttered. Guam's Kmart employs about 600 island residents. An article in the Wall Street Journal last January noted that Guam's Kmart is one of the most profitable stores in the nation with $100 million in annual sales. We'll have more news after this.
Meet all the candidates up close and personal and find out why they deserve your vote. On Saturday, October 27th, you can meet them face-to-face during Micronesia Mall's one-on-one with the candidates. From 1 to 4 p.m., you can ask the tough questions, exchange views, express your concerns, or just get to know your candidates better. Hosted by Ray Gibson and broadcast on 93.3 The Point with the Facebook Live feed courtesy of Shooting Star Productions. Go one-on-one with the candidates Saturday, October 27th, only at Micronesia Mall.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. Just a few weeks into the 2019 fiscal year, and already GovGuam is looking at more than an $8 million shortfall. That's because the Department of Rev and Tax has decided not to implement the real property tax increase that is called for in the 2019 budget law. They're not going to implement that until next year. The real property tax increase is projected to raise more than $8 million annually from roughly 400 property owners whose buildings or homes have been appraised at a value of $1 million or more. The revenue has already been allocated in this year's budget. However, the public auditor, Benjamin Cruz, said he was shocked that Rev and Tax would not be collecting that tax this year as expected. He warned that GovGuam is facing a self-inflicted deficit if it delays collections of that new tax. Cruz wrote to Governor Calvo, who is the organically recognized tax commissioners, calling on him to immediately implement the tax increase, the property tax increase. In response, the governor wrote back saying he warned Cruz in August, when the public auditor was still serving as Speaker of the legislature, that the budget law was flawed. The governor pointing out that the budget law changed only the property tax rate but didn't change the assessment date, which is in March. And as a result, the governor said since the 2019 budget bill was passed after March of this year, and because a law can't be applied retroactively, the earliest date that the property tax can take effect is in the next fiscal year. If you wanted to ensure the new rate was effective immediately, said the governor, you should have written it clearly into the legislation. In district court yesterday, a California police officer who discovered 8 pounds of suspected meth in the vehicle of a couple charged with conspiracy to bring drugs to Guam. Torrance, California Police Department officer Ryan Schmitz was called to the stand in the drug smuggling retrial of Raymond Martinez and Juanita Mosier. Martinez and Mosier accused of conspiring to distribute meth and money laundering. The case involves an alleged plot to bring 8 pounds of meth from California to Guam. It was Schmitz who discovered the suspected meth during a traffic stop in Torrance. Martinez and Mosier were arrested in 2015 after being accused of conspiring to import methamphetamine to Guam. Their retrial resumes this morning at 8:30. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with a look at weather.
Mike?
Yes, Ray.
Okay, wait. I found it. Mostly cloudy, hot, scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Light and variable winds, highs near 88 degrees with a max afternoon heat index around 101. Lows 79 degrees. I haven't looked outside in a while. Was it still raining?
It has stopped now, but plenty of clouds still there, and still a very good chance that we'll see some rain this morning, but it should taper off a bit by this afternoon.
Okay, gotcha. It's 8:13 in the morning, and that's news and weather together here on The Point. The Subway Chipotle cheesesteak. Chipotle. Just walk in there and say, I want the spicy cheesesteak. Sound like beefsteak. Contains a concept called flavor. This flavor comes from juicy, shaved steak and Chipotle Southwest sauce. Available for a limited time, this flavor at Subway restaurants. Subway, make it what you want.
Calvo started with a simple handshake. As we celebrate 80 years, we extend a hand to all of you who have taken our hand in trust, to the dreamers and realists, the families, the businesses, the young at heart, and the old souls, our manumku and our children. From all of us to all of you, our deepest, happiest, and infinite thanks.
80 years here for you. 80 years thanks to you. Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust.
Oh, wait, you're pointing at me. I'm supposed to do the talk. This is the one where I welcome enthusiastically all of the sponsors of the program. All right, fine, I can do it. My friends over at Security Title, these are the people that you call when you're going to be involved in really any kind of real estate transaction, because they know all of the ins and outs. And you're going to say, but I got a realtor. Trust me, your realtor calls Security Title too. Folks over at American President Lines, they're shipping the future. Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. Smarter water, better water with American Water Tech. Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your open heart surgery needs. And AK Lexus, where they're all about the brand new ES350 and encouraging you to take a test drive of one today at AK Lexus.
Ray Gibson brings you closer to the action. Morning talk that matters. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
I want an Army man uniform. Can I get an Army man uniform, Kevin?
Talk to the governor.
When you get his. What a ton of people ticked off at the governor about that yesterday on the social media. How dare he disrespect the uniform of a working Army man? You know, when I was a little boy, my favorite.
Isn't he honoring the uniform by doing that? I mean, he was giving out awards.
Was it the captain? He's the, what is it? What do they call that? What are he's the.
Get over it. You know?
There's a word for it, and I can't remember what it is. What?
Gets to, I mean, like the president didn't do any.
He's the commander-in-chief, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like he gets to salute people, and he was known for being a draft dodger, right? So I mean, like if any, you know, what I'm saying, like I mean, I get it. I get the disrespect to the uniform, but I mean, like any elected official gets to salute and.
Well, I mean, he's not just saluting; he's wearing a uniform.
Yeah, but do they get to?
I don't know. You talk to some of the people. You take a look on the social medias, on the socials yesterday, and you'll find a lot of people that were very upset about it.
Stolen valor. You know, there's stolen valor compilations all over YouTube. Where
I don't know that. I don't know that this rises to that level.
But I'm saying, the
commander-in-chief, the local commander-in-chief of the deal. I suppose that he gets some kind of recognition.
I would think so.
The president is the commander-in-chief, but
right.
He doesn't have a uniform, does he?
He has that jacket. They give him that bomber jacket.
Yes, that is a cool bomber jacket.
They give him that bomber jacket, and they let him salute people, even though he's got no military service or training.
So my buddy Dennis writing in Commander-in-Chief. So Dennis, I mean, you've got some expertise in this. I mean, I never had the privilege of service, and therefore I don't wear uniforms. But in fact, there is one uniform that I wear maybe once every couple of years, and it's a shirt with a place for epaulets. Right, and I have these captain epaulets that I will put on that every once in a while when I need to do something fun involving aviation. But I have noticed that when I wear that, specifically at the airport, and people that know me that know I'm not a captain, that are actually in the airplane business, they look at me crosswise, like I owe them money. So I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I was just gonna correct a little something that Blake was bringing up about the president. Actually, he's not saluting them. By the rules of military courtesy, they must salute him because he's the commander-in-chief. Okay. And out of courtesy, he must return the salute.
Okay, so it's just being nice.
But still, I mean, like, that's one of the only few exceptions where, like, a civilian, and I know he's not a normal civilian, but I mean, like, you know, as far as training and military service, you know, like, he's a civilian in that regard.
No, you're absolutely right.
Okay, okay.
And, of course, you know, that's something that's afforded heads of state. To me, Governor Calvo doesn't qualify, regardless. I mean, I know he's in charge of the guard,
right.
To me,
and I get that, like that, and I mean, like that's why I was kind of given the leeway to, you know, to Governor Calvo. Is like, well, I mean, he's, you know, though he's not the president, but you know, I mean, he is the elected official of all of us here on this island. So I guess, you know, I could see where he could be afforded some, you know, a uniform or something, whatever.
You think like Kmart has those? Do you think they have? Can I just?
They've got a store right up the road here where you can get police, military uniforms, and all kinds of stuff.
Really?
It's like an academy,
like an Army Navy store.
Like because I used to have one when I was a little kid. I used to have like my because I was a big G.I. Joe fan.
Oh, okay.
And it was, you know, this is the '60s G.I. Joe. This is the 12-incher, right? And so you could get the action figure, not doll, action figure, right? And then you could get yourself dressed up in an Army man uniform.
Man,
there's a G.I. Joe with the hat and everything.
You probably straight freaked out when they came out with the Kung Fu grip.
Dude, the beard.
Oh, that was
the beard. Because
G.I. Joe beard.
Yeah, you remember because it was an enlightened time back then. It was an enlightened time. We came out with Black G.I. Joe. and then the G.I. Joe with the beard, and yeah, Kung Fu Grip was absolutely killer. Yeah, I'd love it. If money were no object, I would rebuild the collection of G.I. Joe junk that I had when I was a kid that my mom threw away.
That happened to all my Legos, so I feel your pain. I feel your pain. And now I look to go rebuy some of them. Now they're worth like, a couple $100,
people are collecting them now.
One of these days, you'll throw a bunch of Legos away, too, because you get tired of stepping on them.
Yeah. 8:20 in the morning. It must be time for Sports with Blake. I got to check my email here to find out whether or not Torgan has sent me some details. Torgan is going to be in the studio tomorrow with a coach from the International Tennis Federation.
They made. I saw a headline as I struggle to get internet right now that there are. They're organizing a school outreach, a social outreach. Is that right? Yeah, right. Guam National will assist. With assistance from former tennis professional Michael Ray Polaris and the development of the national sports system. Let's see here. With the sport of tennis has the power to influence positivity in the local community, as evidenced by the popularity of the social outreach events organized by GNTF. So,
so that guy's going to be here with me tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
So we'll talk about that.
He is a former professional tennis player and member of the Dominican Republic Davis Cup team. Ray?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Polaris.
I played in the Davis Cup once.
Did you?
Yeah, in my dream. It was fun. Yeah, it was crazy fun. I was good.
Oh,
hitting them out of the park.
So that's gonna be tomorrow. Did you ever play tennis at all? I mean, on the regular. I mean, I know you have.
Yeah, I was a member of the Father Dueñas tennis team when I was a junior in high school.
So that's where it stems from.
Sure. I was terrible. Okay. I was terrible. So it's like it's like many things. I mean, you've got an aptitude for it, and I had the aptitude for it. I just didn't have the talent for it. So I was able to get to the limits of where I was trained,
right,
to play tennis. And then after that, it was okay, that's as good as you're going to get.
People are surprised when I tell them I grew up watching tennis. My grandmother played it just for fun, but she was really into it, like the late 80s, early 90s, all of it on TV. So Agassi and Monica Seles and all those older, all those names from that time.
Renaissance. I came up in the 70s, and I watched Arthur Ashe and some of the other names. And now they're commentators at Wimbledon and the U.S. and the Australian
and
Open.
they're making movies. I think that Borg McEnroe movie's on Netflix now, or coming to Netflix soon.
I'd watch it. I'd watch it for sure. 8:23 in the morning. Just real quick in traffic. I don't know what it is, but it's been ugly all morning long around Ukadu and the intersection between there and 1 and 3. Also looking at a little bit of a slowdown. Traffic getting out of Agana Heights. Looks like it's beginning to throttle up around Uncle Ben's place and then going up the hill and then into Agana. Could be some issues with you driving around there. And no, I don't have any information on why there is police tape around a house in Baza Gardens. We'll see what we can find out for you this morning.
What?
Yep, I don't know, just stuff going on. Even though we're here, we're supposed to be talking sports. Right. There's a whole other world of activities and stories.
But I'm guessing it's because the police were at that house recently.
Michael is correct about saluting. The National Guard is supposed to have the same standards as regular Army, but in reality, those standards are lowered. On Guam, those lower standards are lowered even more. Par for the course. Governor Calvo would pull this stunt if the Guard has to train for semi-annual physical fitness tests. They wouldn't mind Calvo dressing up like a little dictator and joining them. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate that. Brad's only fun if he can poke a stick at the governor, etc. All right, so back to sports.
Yes. No.
What do you got?
Well, I had this. I was going to say it's very rare that we, that big news comes out of the region, not just Guam specifically, but this story coming out of Yap, as the first female athlete to win a gold medal in the Pacific Games in 2015 for boxing for Yap, but Jennifer Dugwin Ching has stepped into the Bellator cage over the weekend. I believe she's based out of the Big Apple, New York City, and she is in Bellator. She crushed her debut, Ray. Bellator 208. Jennifer Ching wins via knockout. First round, opening round knockout. And she puts Yap on the map. Because, we've had Baby Joe, who I believe retired. He retired. Yep. So Baby Joe fought in Bellator. And now we've got Jennifer Dugwin Ching, who is over there from Yap in Bellator. So the region definitely making some noise in that in that organization.
It could be a way out.
Yeah,
a lot of different ways.
So, and I guess she is also she trains up there at Renzo Gracie's Academy in Manhattan. She's a teammate of Guam Muay Thai fighter Michelle Guambom Diaz. So, little Pacific tie-in up there.
All right, I'm gonna try a couple of just weird sequiturs here.
Okay.
And it was a little bit ago we were talking about Netflix, Nasdaq doing pretty good today. Netflix is bomb equity out there, and so we were talking about how great Netflix is, but how spooky it is because there's just too much to watch. There's
too much,
and they put Monty Python up, but it's not even like the one Monty Python series. There's 100 different versions of Monty Python deals that you can jump into, and then later on, one of the things that we're going to do you use Vudu, VUDU?
I have it, but I don't use it. It's on demand, right? Video on demand.
It's over the top is what we call it.
Okay.
So it's one of those over-the-top services like Netflix, like Apple TV.
Do you have it? I have, because I have my cable provider provides me a TiVo box,
and so it's one of the
apps. Yeah, I just haven't signed into it, or maybe I haven't. I just haven't used it.
No, so I've got an LG TV, and let me just recommend if you're ever over at Cost You Less and you're looking at the TVs, wondering if these things are any good, the answer is yes, they're pretty good.
Okay,
they're very, very smart TVs. They spend a lot of time updating apps. In fact, the Spotify app on the LG TV has recently been upgraded. They're constantly, refining the apps for those smart television devices, as opposed to the dumb TVs that all they have is a tuner and a jack for the cable. What we're talking about here is something that almost runs itself, right? So the answer is yes. Anyway, so Vudu is reviving in a digital form, a digital series, the 1983 comedy Mr. Mom.
Tom Hanks?
Yep.
It was, right? Tom Hanks?
No, Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, okay.
Yeah. Michael Keaton is a father who bumbles his way through his stay-at-home parenting when his wife, Terry Garr.
Terry Garr.
Okay, Terry Garr in Young Frankenstein.
It's on my horror movie calendar, Young Frankenstein. I love that movie. The great Peter Boyle.
I just love her. Anyway, the show was written by the movie was written by John Hughes. Everybody knows it, so there's going to be another version of that. But this is very, very interesting. One of my favorite zombie movies, like of all time, World War Z.
Oh, I
watch that every time it's on.
That's the Brad Pitt one, right?
That's the one where he cuts a woman's arm off with the machete. It's so cool. And she doesn't turn into a zombie.
Let me tell you about that movie. That movie was ruined for me. I went and saw it in the theater.
No.
And the projectionist started the movie like 3/4 the way through. So
you missed the beginning.
So the movie started with the plane crashing. If you remember that scene. Yeah, that scene where Brad Pitt's, I mean, it's not really a spoiler because I'm not giving any, there's no context, but there's a plane crash towards the end of the movie that Brad Pitt is a part of, and he crashes. That's where the movie started.
Oh, no,
and that's a pivotal point in the plot line. And then when they started over from like 10 minutes before that, and then we saw it all again. So finally, on the third try, they started over from the beginning, but basically there's a whole chunk of the end of the movie that was kind of
World War Z.
I liked it. It was a good movie.
A sequel to the 2013 zombie pandemic film will start filming next summer. Brad Pitt is back. The first film earned more than $540 million worldwide, and that's all I know about it. But that might be one that actually gets me back into the movie theaters. There's something about fast-moving zombies that I like.
And I'm not even a zombie fan.
Neither am I.
Leave it to Bradley Pitt to get me interested in zombies because he was great in that.
So there's that movie, and then there's Shaun of the Dead as far as zombie movies are concerned.
Yeah.
And
did you see Zombieland? That's a pretty funny one with Woody Harrelson, Bill Murray, Jesse Eisenberg. Because it's a comedy. It's just a black comedy, a very, very dark comedy about zombies.
All right, so eventually it's 8:29. We got to throw something sporty in here. What is this? Who are the PEP Special Needs Course is going to be going. There's a 5K run, walk, wheelchair event. So if that wasn't unique enough, this is going to be a sunset run. Chamorro Village Festival Hut, start and finish, showtime 4 p.m. Go time is at 5 p.m. Sunday, October the 21st. Register now at Hornet Sporting Goods in Tamuning or at the PEP office in the GCIC building in Nagano up there on the 6th floor while you're making your way to the Election Commission to complain about Maria Pangilinan or Ken Paris. Just got to toss those in because I'm going to talk about that in the next segment of the program.
Okay. that's the sunset run, right?
Yeah,
at least
sunset run.
At least you get the sunset.
No, these are great. Sunset runs are great. But I don't know if there's going to be another Sunday run. It could be another one of those where that weekend turns out to be a pretty busy weekend for runners.
Yeah.
Well, that's this weekend. That's just this coming Sunday.
Yeah, this coming weekend. October's...
Well, that might be the only 5K going on this weekend, because I think the only other thing is the PRC, the Guam Running Club's
you were talking about yesterday.
Ghoulish race that's happening. 8:30. Are you doing anything for Halloween? Did I already ask you?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
It's on a Wednesday. My daughter, because of her daycare, they have a Halloween carnival and parade and all that, annually. So I may show up to that. But other than that, no, just hanging out with her and watching some scary movies.
Right on. Okay,
but I do like Halloween though.
No, Halloween is great. I'm trying to figure out whether I'm going to get good candy or send somebody on base for base candy. Base candy's good stuff.
I try to sneak in the big 3-pound bag of the and I've talked about these on this show before, but the Tootsie Roll fruit chews, the one I told they're all the fruit flavors, not the chocolate. And Mrs. Sports looked at me like, "What? Get that out of here."
Yep. No black licorice at my house and no candy corn. That's just the way it is. It's 8:31 in the morning, and that's Blake Watson. That's all the sports that we've got for you today. Kevin Kerrigan with headlines, and maybe I could scare up some traffic here in just a couple of minutes.
There's a reason every day a Guam homeowner is getting a solar system installed by Micronesia Renewable Energy. It's because MRE is the most trusted name in solar. With more solar energy solutions than any other solar company on island, homeowners have a choice to go solar for zero money down or take the path to ownership. Whichever way, it keeps our skies blue and your pockets green. And with the most experienced solar technicians and an energy production guarantee, there are no worries. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, the smarter choice.
Oh, yeah, it's a germ movie for sure, but pandemic. But the pandemic turned people into these fast-moving zombies, and there's very little hilarity in this movie. But it's really interesting, especially the part where Jerusalem is like the only place where there has not been this pandemic until people start singing. And singing leads to dancing, and dancing leads to. It's 8:32 and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, the Guam Attorney General has ruled that an across-the-board GovGuam hiring freeze written into the 2019 budget law cannot be enforced because it encroaches on the authority of the executive branch and violates the Organic Act. The opinion issued on Monday by Attorney General Elizabeth Barrett Anderson reinforces the position taken by Governor Calvo, who stated in early September that the legislature cannot manage hiring for other branches. The freeze is supposed to be in effect now and throughout the first quarter of this fiscal year, as called for in the current budget law passed by the legislature. However, Department of Administration Director Edward Byrne sought an opinion from the Attorney General asking if the freeze violated the doctrine of the separation of powers. In her response, Barrett Anderson said the hiring freeze in the current budget law is no different from an earlier one attempted several years ago that was ultimately voided because it did violate the separation of powers in the Organic Act. The lawsuit that community activist Ken Leon Guerrero filed against the Guam Election Commission will not be decided until after the general election. He is asking the court to require all valid votes on primary election ballots to be counted, even if the ballot has already been voided because one of those votes was a crossover. There were 907 ballots voided in the August primary because of crossover votes. Leon Guerrero also wants a hand recount of all of those ballots cast during the election. Scheduling conference to determine how the case will proceed has been scheduled for the end of November, a few weeks after the November 6th election. Leon Guerrero said he'll amend his lawsuit with the aim of requiring the Election Commission in the future to count all valid votes on a primary ballot, regardless of whether the vote was made on the Democratic or Republican side of that ballot. Senator Frank Uggan Jr. and Alicia Limtiaco, his running mate, are asking the Guam Election Commission to recognize a list of write-in names for their revived campaign for Adelup. Among the names that voters may enter on the write-in line that the Uggan Limtiaco want recognized are Uggan Limtiaco, Frank and Alicia, and the word believe, which is their campaign slogan. At its meeting last night, Commission Chairwoman Alice Tyron said the request to recognize those and other names for the write-in team would be addressed at the Election Commission's next meeting on Friday. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Wait, you can't leave yet.
Goodbye.
No, you cannot
So
leave.
long.
There's.
See ya.
We got, I got Ken LG telling me you got to focus, Raymond, son, focus. And I'm trying to focus now on a couple of things that we have received. Ken Leon Guerrero is going after the Election Commission now, asking after sanctity and security over their tallying devices. And I got the email on that. And then just in the last hour or so, we got a note from Andre Bynum.
Yes, he's going after Ken Paris.
Yeah, he wants Ken Paris to be stepped down from that position that he's got on the Guam Election Commission. Thinks that he is biased and is shown in numerous editorials in print. That he's got a bias, number one, against the write-in process, and number two, against the people that are pushing for the write-in, i.e. Andre Bynum and Ken Leon Guerrero. So I think those are going to be a couple of interesting things that we get to face off on in the next little bit.
The drama continues. Won't be over until after November 6th.
Yeah, it won't be over, and maybe not even for another 2 weeks after that, with a runoff election that we don't have the money apparently to afford. 8:36 what would happen now if they just the legislature comes through and tells Maria, yeah, I understand, and maybe the votes are calling for some kind of a runoff. Maybe nobody is going to get that 50% plus one, but we don't have the money. We don't have the dough. How will we resolve the problem then?
Chess match. 2 out of 3.
Chess?
Chess.
Flip a coin.
Not checkers.
Chunk and pull. Right?
That's
something
cool,
like
too.
it's, in some places it's done.
Hey, rock, paper, scissors.
We just go best 2 out of 3 on that, and whoever wins it, wins it. It's 8:36, and we make it to the loser leaves town. What do you say? It's 8:36 in the morning. That's iConnect time. Swing by iConnect. They'll be open in about 40 minutes. Less than that, swing by and find out why they are the practical choice where it comes to mobile and internet and push-to-talk plans, or call them at 888-8888.
If you can dream uncommon design and unprecedented engineering, you define the 2018 Lexus. The boldly designed IS Sports Sedan's aggressive design stimulates the senses.
Advanced paddle shifting puts the exhilarating performance of the IS Sports Sedan at your fingertips. With deep, luxurious seating, the ES350 offers an ultimate level of comfort, while cutting-edge engineering delivers a thrilling drive.
Put yourself in a 2018 Lexus.
Now with special incentives.
At Atkins Kroll.
They've got some awesome flavors waiting for you at Cold Stone, the ultimate ice cream experience. They're celebrating 30 years of being your absolute favorite. The banana bread battered ice cream and sea salt caramel ice cream made with premium Ghirardelli sea salt caramel sauce. You know, if they can put salt in ice cream, they ought to be able to put bacon in there too. Just think, guys. Let's work on that. It's 8:37 in the morning, and do you need to swing by Cold Stone, the ultimate ice cream experience?
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
8:38 in the morning. Traffic still looking slow on Route 3, making your way from the Estumbo area through Hookadoo and then to Marine Corps Drive. A little bit of traffic slowing down generally around the Fatima Mobile area, and the place where we've got that new, I don't know, the words are in my head. Sometimes I have a hard time popping out when I just want to say farmer's market. You know, I don't know. You know why? Because it's farmer's market / flea market. Yeah. Anyway, where was I? So watch out. That's starting to clear up now. I'm just looking at the traffic gizmo, and we just went a little bit clear. Still some cars there, but everybody's moving. Traffic in and out of Tumon, up Santos Hill and onto Marine Corps Drive. Not looking so bad. Traffic in front of the airport, as usual, a little bit snotty, but you'll get through it. And the only thing else that I see that is going to be of any kind of worry is second-string traffic in front of the post office, Guam Regional Medical City. I'm sorry, Guam Regional in front of the post office on Route 16 towards Happy Mart. There it is. I'll spit it all out. 8:39. What a morning this has been right here on the Ray Gibson Show on The Point.
What would you do with unlimited internet? With Docomo Pacific, the possibilities are endless. Docomo Pacific is throwing off the data caps so you can enjoy more of the things you love. Watch, stream, download, and play with no end in sight. Stop by any of our stores or check out DocomoPacific.com to learn more. Life becomes limitless with Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Focus. Focus, Freeman. Focus, young grasshopper. Yeah, I'll get it. Romeo Carlos is reminding me that focus is everything. Sonny Cruz says, cannot wait until November 6th so we can talk about something else. No, we won't. No, we won't. This fast-forwarding to November the 6th and going, well, that's it. Election's all done. We're finished now.
Well, we got a whole new administration to pick on now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's the run-up, there's the transition. You know, the very interesting things are going to be seeing who gets what jobs. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's not just a question of who's sitting in the chair as governor and lieutenant governor, Sonny. The fun comes from finding out who is going to be, say, the chief of staff, who are going to be the directors and deputy directors, different departments and agencies in the government of Guam. This is going to be interesting. And if you think that that's going to be that's not going to have any political gossip attached to it, forget about it. Forget it. It will. It absolutely will. Natalie Canetta posting on Facebook yesterday, and yeah, she's one of my followers. I follow her because I think that she is an influencer. And you should be as well. N-A-T-E-L-I-E. But anyway, so she's got some good inside intel and is hearing that certain Kush jobs are already being offered to certain Kush followers and supporters of various camps. Oh. And so here's this is the point that she was making. If you haven't been contacted by somebody yet, you're nobody. I love that. So, sorry, Sonny, that's just the way it is. And there is also the possibility of a runoff. As I mentioned, the Guam Election Commission doesn't have any money. I'm surprised that they were able to make it this far into the process. There's salaries that they got to pay and benefits, and they got to buy airplane tickets for the technician to come out here and calibrate the machines, and we got to spend money because apparently it's not as though we can just call Chris Biacchino and have him make the ballots for these fantabulous tabulation machines that we've got. Apparently, it's got to come from off island where they have sacred election paper or something like that. I honestly don't understand that. Somebody will explain it to me one of these days. You know, it's also possible that somebody has explained it to me and I just forgot. I'm capable. Let me just be honest with you here, guys. Sometimes I ask questions and instead of listening to the answer, I'm thinking about the next question that I'm going to ask. Right? Cardinal sin. I'll try to get past it. Ismael says, the Guam Election Commission will find the money. They'll borrow it from the Bank of Guam. That's fun. Henry Gonzalez says, morning, Ray and Shelley. I'm on Guam. Okay. Just RayGibsonShow@gmail.com. No, we're on Facebook together. Just DM it. Sonny says, give it a week back to normal. I don't know. I'm just saying where we are. Neats talking about nearing my retirement and a DD position looks inviting. Yes, doesn't it? So, you know, start smiling at some of these guys and leaning in on your when you shake their hand, you lean in and go, I've been behind you 100%. I know it didn't always look like it, but I've been with you 100%. Right? Remember me when it's time to populate your administration. And you can say that to everybody. You can say that to everybody because nobody's going to know. Nobody pays any attention to that stuff. What have I got? Romeo typing in, actually sending me some incredible footage here this morning on the Facebook Messenger service. I mentioned bacon ice cream, and apparently Ben & Jerry's has bacon ice cream. Bacon and vanilla ice cream. Don't hurl. Candied bacon ice cream. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. Hey, old buddy Rudy Cabana's online. Who else is playing around with the Facebook Live that I haven't said hello to? Regine Bisco Lee is there. Sheena Matamata. Tommy Garcia. Mike McCarthy. Carissa Flores. Nice to see that Brad has finally checked in this morning. So he usually lurks on YouTube Live as opposed to Facebook Live because the video is better or something else. But he just cannot help himself and needs to... Needs to every once in a while chime in on the subject at the moment on the Facebook Live. And another point that Sonny is making this morning, and I love hearing all your points, Sonny, with regard to Eddie Jerome Baza Calvo wearing his Army man uniform. that some people on Facebook have given him just a real hard time about. Said, calm down. People wear that same jacket when they're bush cutting. And the hat, too. I'm with you. I've seen it myself. 8:45. Let me get back to the political conversation that I've been away from for, must be 20 or 30 seconds. All right. Today is 17th of October, and it's not as though they have not already inundated the Guam Election Commission with all kinds of paperwork. Hi, Phil Schrage. Good to see you there. Looking forward to seeing you for one-on-one with the candidates, Tricia Beneventi. It is not as though the Andre Bynum and Ken Leon Guerrero and now Tom Fisher, it is not as though those individuals and Frank Huggan have not inundated the Guam Election Commission with paperwork, but there is a new one this morning, and it is a petition from Andre to Maria Pangilinan to petition the Guam Election Commission to suspend the duties and responsibilities of Commission member Joaquin Perez. I am petitioning the Guam Election Commission to suspend Commission member Joaquin Perez from performing any and all duties and from making any decisions that may affect the 2018 general election and place as a substitute a temporary and politically independent member selected by the Commission for the duration of the general election. The Commission's goals and objectives include to provide the citizens of Guam a fair, honest, and orderly election process. And bullet number 2, to ensure complete election returns of issues and questions and public offices. It has become blatantly apparent that Commission member Joaquin Perez's bias against the write-in campaign initiated by the petitioner may impair his judgment and interfere with the election process and results. Mr. Perez on numerous occasions has publicly criticized, maligned, and denigrated the write-in process afforded by law to the citizens of Guam. This is in contradiction to the Commission goals and objectives outlined above. His comments and editorials printed in local newspapers September 18th, 26th, October the 10th clearly shows his disregard for the write-in provision prescribed by law. Mr. Perez may place in jeopardy the integrity of the voting process, suppress voter participation, and the election results if he is allowed to continue to perform his duties as Commission member. And he includes copies of editorials and things like that. Further solicit that this petition and the request written herein be placed on the next GEC Commission meeting agenda. Your immediate response to this request is appreciated. So yet more paperwork that they're going to have to pour through over at the beleaguered folks over at the Guam Election Commission. Now that Andre and I presume Ken wants to get rid of Ken Perez. I wonder what Bob Klitsky is going to say about this afternoon. Bob on the program just a couple of days ago suggesting that there seems to be some kind of a bias and in fact a wrong-footed kind of investigation that he has been asking for into groups that are clearly raising funds and spending money on election activities that the Guam Election Commission at the time is not officially aware of. So we'll watch and we'll see where that goes. Ken, stay there for just a second. I need to get this lady on the line because she's got some. There's a ton of stuff going on this Friday, right? We've got the Filipino groups are going to be getting together for another big deal. I'm going to be at Black Construction's anniversary party. There is Habitat for Humanity's quiz night. And then there is Nikkei night. Monica Guzman on the line with me. Good morning, Mon.
Half a day, Ray, Ohio gozaimashita.
Oh, don't touch my mustache. Great to talk with you all the time. And tell me about the Nikkei night and what is this going to be? Sake and soba?
Sake and soba night. That'll be Friday from 4 to 8 p.m. at the multi-purpose room in Building 400 at the Guam Community College. It's free admission.
Ah.
Yes, and so, we're going to have the Guam Community College Culinary Department prepare some Japanese food, which will be for sale. And this is our third appreciation night fundraiser. And, we added a little something different to this year's event, and we're going to have a sake tasting.
It's practice for Aki Matsuri.
Yes. And so So for those who are legally of age, for $10, you'll be able to taste the different types of sake that some of our distributors will be having on hand at on Friday evening.
Right, right. Bring some money with you, even though the admission is free. You're going to want sushi, and that's $1 a slice. So we've got some karaage chicken that is going to be for sale, as well as ramen bowls, yakitori, and all kinds of other things. Japanese crepes, yum.
Yes, yes, and that's a new item also that Chef Paul has prepared because he wanted to provide something sweet, and of course, the Chamorro favorite, the bento box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so so we encourage everyone to come and swing by. It's from 4 to 8 p.m. It's going to be a nice little.
Oh, so you can still do some of the other stuff that's going on Friday night. If it starts at 4, you go in, have a couple of rounds of sake and some Japanese chow, and support the Nikkei Association, and then you can go on to some of the other things.
Absolutely, right. Funds raised from this event, Ray, will be used to support our scholarship fund. And then we also have sponsors that we'd like to thank and acknowledge for assisting us in the event. And, of course, Bank of Guam is one of them. Calvo Enterprises, King's Restaurant, and then, of course, the Lighty Group is supporting the event. So come on by. Like you said, it's early. You can come by, have, like you said, have a taste of sake and, some food to take you on your way to go to all the other events.
It'll be a fantastic Friday night. What a great launch into the weekend. And as I said, practice for Aki Matsuri, which is coming up, I believe, on the 17th of next month.
Yes, in November. And that's also a great event. And that's a one-day event, and so we'll see you there as well.
Yes. I think I'm going to be hanging out with the United Pilots because they're starting about now. Everybody that goes to Japan on the and swings by Narita or some of the other airports, you're supposed to get a couple of bottles of sake, and then that way that night there'll be like 100 bottles of sake floating around.
Oh, nice.
Yep. It's nice to have a plan. It's nice to have friends in the airline business.
Right, and so if there's any leftover, which I hope there won't be any leftover, we'll be sure to bring that down to EPAL in November as well.
I'll see you then. Monica, thank you for taking the call. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, and we hope to see everyone on Friday at GCC.
Always happy to help. Have a fantastic morning. Ray Gibson Show until it's not going to be anymore, 8:52. And as I said, Ken LG's on the line and wanted to make a comment on Andre's letter. Imagine that. Good morning, Ken.
Yes, ever since the primary election, we've seen a very strong bias on some of the members of the election commission appearing to support the Liu team. I mean, we start out with Maria Pangilinan endorsing Liu's assessment on what constitutes the 2% for the write-in. Then we look at that 4-hour convoluted process as the commissioners tied themselves in knots trying to avoid getting below the 2% mark on the math. Then we look at the situation with the ballot format construction, and then the revelation, I think it was Monday, when Maria announced that they were only going to count the write-in ballot on the Democratic side, not on the Republican side. And, we've submitted a number of letters to the commission, and they always end the same way. We'll have legal counsel get back to you. Since the letters we've been sent in since September, we still haven't gotten a single response yet. So then we have
their people are busy. I know they're lawyers. They're busy.
They're busy trying to stop the write-in from moving forward, And then we have Ken Perez's comments, not just in the media, but also in the commission meetings themselves. I mean, he went so far as to make a statement, and it's not the election commission's mission to educate voters. That is not our responsibility, So that's why I heartily endorse Andre's letter, and I think that needs to happen, because with the election commission, by their actions, has lost any credibility as far as unbiased activity.
The Election Commission, writes Bob Kelly, has 3 Republican members and 3 Democratic members that represent their party. Ken represents the Democratic Party, who has selected a candidate. He is doing what he is expected to do as a party representative. There is a 7th member chosen as an independent. You can't replace a party member with an independent, so the request, at least in Bob's mind, is BS.
Well, that's the request in Bob's mind, but they're acting in official capacities. They're supposed to be protecting the election process or the appearance of impartiality on the election process.
Well, I guess the point is that, you know, in something like this, and clearly the Republicans have already shown their affection for this write-in campaign, and we've seen that a couple of times in the Guam Daily Post, where they've gotten up with Jerry Crisostomo, and they're just elated that Frank is going through with this write-in campaign, and between you and Andre and all of that work that's going on. So you would presume if it came to bullets, those same Republicans would be more than happy to side with a write-in, and certainly the independent might be happy to side with a write-in, which would neutralize, I suppose, anything that happened with the Democrat guys.
Well, the actions of the commission as a whole to date don't indicate that, and that's why we requested to have independent observers appointed for the ballot counting, because we're not confident that the commission structure as set up now is going to be impartial and fair when it comes to determining which write-in ballots are acceptable and which ones are not.
Well, you're kind of already suggesting that based on past activities that seem to have passed some legal muster, or at least some analysis at the Guam Election Commission, you seem to have already are predisposed to them screwing the write-in candidates at the conclusion of the general election. And that hasn't happened yet. So is it possible maybe we ought to just kind of wait and see whether or not these guys get screwed out of Adelup here, and you know, at that point then do the recount and have the lawyers in and turn it into one of those Florida fiascos?
No, we're being proactive on this, on the idea that ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Already now, because of the activities of the commission in not counting the 907 ballots and not hand counting the regular ballots when there were integrity issues regarding the tabulating machines, that could have changed this entire argument, but they refused to do that. So that's why we're being very proactive going into the general election to make sure that we don't have all these afterthoughts.
Well, has anybody looked at what the process is, what a legal process would be for the disposition of a commission member? How do we decommission them, as it were?
It's probably going to be the same thing as asking a government and Guam agency to investigate itself. So what we're doing is just getting our paperwork in order in case a legal challenge is going to be required.
Yeah, but I'm kind of curious, what would the steps need to be if you're writing a letter to Maria Pangilinan asking her to torpedo Ken? Is there a process? Does Ken get his day in court, as it were? I keep saying as it were. I'm sorry. I don't mean to do that. As it were.
With this write-in process, we're breaking new ground in Guam election law and procedures. This is just another log that's getting thrown onto the fire here, because in the past, the parties had such tight control over the election process that it was business as usual every election. And you heard it from everybody. You know, it's going to be the same people getting reelected over and over. You know, there's no point in running if I don't get the party support and endorsement. You know, we've heard that for years. We're hoping that by the end of this election, there will be a group of senators in the 35th Guam legislature that are going to be more open to restructuring the election laws to make them more favorable to the voters.
Well, you remind me I need to talk about a recent survey that might show who those 15 legislators are going to be, and we'll listen to the names and see if they might be among those brave enough to actually do something about it. Usually they forget right after the election that there were ever any problems. 9 o'clock in the morning, Ken, I got to run. I got that Fox News thing coming up. See you, buddy. KUSG, Hagutnya. Here's Fox News live on The Point.
In defense of Saudi Arabia, I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump giving the kingdom the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the disappearance of a journalist in Turkey.
In an interview with the Associated Press, President Trump compared condemnation of Saudi Arabia to the allegations made against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, saying, "Here we go again. You're guilty until proven innocent." President Trump has spoken with the Saudi Crown Prince and King Salman. Both say they do not know what happened to Jamal Khashoggi, a Washington Post contributor and journalist who went missing from the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey, 2 weeks ago. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met with Saudi leaders today and says there was a serious commitment to hold officials accountable in the disappearance of Khashoggi.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. The president sat down for a wide-ranging interview with Fox's Trish Regan, saying that his biggest threat is the Fed.
Because the Fed is raising rates too fast, and it's independent, so I don't speak to him, but I'm not happy with what he's doing because it's going too fast, because you looked at the last inflation numbers, they're very low.
Trish Regan, primetime on the Fox Business Network. Last week, the president blamed the Fed for the major drop on Wall Street. 1 week after Hurricane Michael roared through the Florida Panhandle, Georgia, and Alabama, the number of confirmed dead has risen to 26.
The cleanup is constant in places like Mexico Beach here. But as the pile of debris gets smaller, all of this battered construction material that's all around here is ready to be added to the pile. And despite pleas from local leaders, more residents are returning to places like Mexico Beach to pick through their belongings. Many found insurance close to the beach to be so expensive it was cost prohibitive, so they took their chances. Now Florida legislators say they want to put pressure on the federal government, which was very creative with assistance like the Road Home program after Katrina, and they want to use a similar program to help these homeowners rebuild.
Fox's Mike Tobin. This is Fox News.
One of the longest-running primary care clinics on Guam, the FHP Health Center, has been your convenient one-stop healthcare clinic for you and your family for many generations. FHP's highly trained and well-known medical, dental, and vision providers and their friendly clinical support team are here, ready to take care of you. In addition to the excellent care, FHP offers a full-service pharmacy, laboratory, radiology, and specialty care center in one location. FHP Health Center, our island, your clinic. Most insurance accepted, including Netcare, Aetna, and TRICARE.
Taste the sizzle at Chili's with our new fajita flavors. Our signature fajitas are served with sliced bell peppers, caramelized onions, topped with chipotle garlic butter, and chopped cilantro. Build your fajita with over 16 ounces of tender grilled chicken, juicy steak, and a dozen pieces of seasoned grilled shrimp in the family fajita trio. All served with warm flour tortillas and fresh toppings like mixed cheese, guacamole, salsa, and pico de gallo. Experience bold, sizzling fajita flavors only at Chili's. More life happens here.
A caravan of migrants from Central America continues its trek north.
A Facebook post from one of the caravan organizers indicates the migrants got into Guatemala Monday. The caravan's up to anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 people. Honduras does have one of the higher murder rates in the world. And Martin Pineda, who's an immigrant rights advocate in Los Angeles, whose parents are Honduran, says he believes people from this country should be allowed to seek asylum.
The country conditions that Honduras is in, it's really under the radar all the time. People don't really seem to care about what's going on in Honduras, that it's under a U.S.-backed dictatorship of Juan Orlando Hernandez.
He says last year the president's re-election was contested due to corruption, and that's caused political chaos ever since. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Dozens of guns found inside the home of a suspect in the ambush of several South Carolina police officers. Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott says 129 guns were found, but it appeared that only 3 of those were fired at the officers October 3rd, a pistol and 2 military assault rifles. 1 officer was killed, 6 others hurt. Lott says 74-year-old Frederick Hopkins set up his home to ambush the officers, and it's fortunate more officers weren't hurt or killed. A body's been found in a rain-swollen lake amid widespread flooding in central Texas. The lake is situated where the Llano and Colorado rivers meet. The National Weather Service says both rivers are experiencing major flooding.
Rising water is blocking roads throughout our county.
Please do not attempt to cross them.
Mary Cunningham, who serves as a judge in Llano, Texas. A Tennessee couple plans to visit 6 Disney parks on 2 U.S. coasts in one day. Heather and Clark Ensminger plan to visit the 4 theme parks in Florida, get on a plane, and then end the night at Disney's 2 parks in California. They'll be armed with a spreadsheet that'll show how much time it'll take to get to each park and how much time to spend there. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959. Now you can start planning for the holidays by getting a personal Christmas loan from $1,000 up to $3,500. Family Finance has 3 convenient locations to serve you. Give them a call in Dededo, 633-4473, Hagåtña, 475-4545, and the Upper Tumon location on the 2nd floor of the Pacific Building at 647-5626. Get your Christmas loans today from Family Finance.
I got 8 portions of the program brought to you by a bunch of friends of mine here in the program, and I'm going to tell you about them as soon as I click on a thing that says who they're supposed to be. Is this one going to be... This is all of them, right? Okay, gotcha. Portions of the program brought to you by APL, that's American President Lines. They're shipping the future. Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for your open heart surgery needs. WaterTech, that's American WaterTech. Smarter water, better water. And the Micronesia Mall, bringing you one-on-one with the candidates October the 27th from 1 until 4 p.m. I will be hosting it here on 93.3 The Point, and you will be able to watch it, obviously, on Facebook Live. Now, I'm not bringing my Facebook Live gizmo out there. Shooting Star, Carlos and Shooting Star Productions are going to be bringing their Facebook Live gizmo out there. So it will look even more like a television show that you'll be able to watch. In fact, when we go to the commercials, we'll be going to video commercials. Yeah, you want to buy some? Call me. 888-8255 is the telephone number. 6 after 9, and those are some of the people instrumental in bringing you this program.
The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. Turn it up. Now tell a friend.
Let's see now. Let me see if I can get myself focused on some of the big topics out here. What do we got? Ismael chiming in on the Facebook Live on the governor wearing an Army man outfit. As someone who has served in the military and worked in movies and television, there's a difference between military attire worn as a uniform and as a costume. The bearing doesn't come from the article of clothing, but from the wearer. Thank you. Appreciate that. Vicky Cordova. Nick Perlasky's writing back, says, Ismael, as a vet, I was insulted by his action. Daryl Taggarty, wondering why nobody's printing a letter to the editor that he wrote. I know that Romeo from GuamBlog.com has offered the opportunity. Daryl Taggarty says, a board comprised of party reps overseeing government employees and processes. Yeah. I guess the theory behind why that works, my friend, is because you've got 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans and an independent. So maybe the idea is that there would be some kind of compromise as opposed to, I see what you're saying, what looks like people running a union shop. There's Rosette Pesetis, who's online as well. Who's talking with who about making an appointment with the... Oh, maybe I shouldn't read that part here on the air. It's a private message between me and a private Facebook person. Sometimes I blur the lines, and I don't even realize it. 888-8255 is the telephone number around here. What else do I have happening? Who's chiming in on topics on the WhatsApp? Bob Kelly, somehow I don't believe representing a write-in that violates the Democratic Unity Pledge will be successful in removing kin. Yeah, well, like, listen, I see what the argument is that Andre and Ken are making, but they are shooting from a position of somebody where we think the tort has already happened. You know, it was like that case with Davis. One of the reasons why they wanted to throw it out was what election has he been barred from? We haven't actually had an election, as opposed to him trying to sign up for things and that he was barred from doing. That was where the damage took place. Other judges had looked at it and said there's no damage until he has actually not been allowed to vote in an election. And that is my understanding is what the other side, what the opposition is saying to be true. No, damage happened when he tried to apply, but was not allowed to do that. Was interested in a story that was floating around last night, and it came to me too late to really do any kind of serious analyses or try to come up with a position or an opinion on. And I still haven't given it a whole lot of thought, but there has been a survey. I don't know if you saw it. KUAM and the University of Guam students have conducted a survey from among a number of registered voters who say that, yeah, we're going to vote in this upcoming election. Now, they've already asked the question of who will you vote for governor and lieutenant governor, and if that's anything like the real thing, well, you can start making the spare keys to the governor's office for Lulian Guerrero now, because she looked very, very good in that survey. They conducted a survey asking this time about who we could expect to be in the 35th Guam legislature. Ooh, yeah. Now, depending on who you talk to, there are concerns being expressed in the Republican Party by Republicans that there won't be as strong a position for that party in the 35th Guam legislature. I've heard the estimates as low as 11 Democrats to just 4 Republicans. The split, I've heard 10 and 5. But according to this survey, it will be 7 members of the Republican Party working with 8 members of the Democratic Party. And it's hard to get that majority, isn't it? It's hard. It's hard. And that would, that has led into other conversations that I've had with some Republicans, and in fact, Republican candidates who are still upset at the party. I guess floating around here, the conversation about you're a Republican candidate and you want to speak at a rally for the governor, for the governor candidates in the Republican side. They say you got to make a donation if you want to do that. And that doesn't always guarantee that you're going to get up and speak. I've also heard from other Republican candidates that they don't think that the party is doing enough for all of them as much as they are for Ray and Ton. But for whatever that's worth, there's a lot of people that have been coming to me with those conversations. But getting back to the survey, the results of the survey. Top 15, if you haven't seen it, go to KUAM's website. Therese Terlahi with 221 votes, followed by Regine Bisco Lee, Tilena Cruz Nelson, Tina Rose Munya Barnes, Joe St. Augustine, Jimmy Moylan, Amanda Shelton, Mary Torres, Will Castro, Luis Munya, Amanda Blas, Clint Rigel, Tello Taitigui, Julia Santos, and at number 15, Zermaine Alerta. Now, I'll point out, you go, wow, that's interesting here. But what about Sabina and Ken Joe and Kelly and Lacia? Where they fall? Well, you take a look at it yourself. You can go find it. But I will point out that the difference between number 14 and number 16, let me say 17, in fact, is only 3 points. Julia Santos, 119. Jermaine Alert, 118. Sabina Perez, 117. And Ken Joanna, 116. So there does not seem to be a wide gulf in those bubbly positions, which will, I think, make it interesting for these guys on election night to see where it goes. Ain't going to be any runoffs for the senatorial race. Just who's got the numbers in ascending order, right? I'll get that in a minute. So, like I said, that's going to be interesting if you ask me. Now, there's much has been made about the people voting for change. Yes, right? People like to say that at the end of elections. Yes, as I look over these numbers, as I take a look at the way the ranking of the candidates, obviously we have voted for change. And it might be true in this case. Yeah, Jimmy Moylan, number 6. Jimmy Moylan, heretofore unknown in the political field. Related, of course, to Kurt Moylan, who was the first elected lieutenant governor of Guam. But on his own, well, just an insurance guy, Army vet, Ray's friend, Ray's bowling buddy from when we were kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to say something?
I just had to say, as a matter of specifics,
yes,
you know, if you elect someone else to the office, there's been a change. Just saying.
Well, the people are talking like there's some massive global change. They're looking at what happened with Madeline Berdalio. And they said, well, people wanting change here. They voted Madeline Berdalio out of office. But it's not like they voted in a stranger. I mean, it's Mike Nicholas. Everybody knows who Mike is. It's not as though they were running against somebody that is, you know, some kind of political outsider. You know, between the two of them, they were running against Doris Brooks, who's been in almost every election there's been since she graduated from high school. I'm exaggerating, of course. So we're just kind of moving people around. Where's the change? Well, we'll see what happens with Jimmy. Amanda Shelton, and just the last name. Her father was a senator in the legislature. Not totally unknown. Where's the next one? There's Amanda Bloss. And frankly, I'm surprised that she's number 11 because I don't know enough about the genealogy of Amanda. Clint Rigel, who I've known for many years, and proud to say that his father was among the greatest influences in my life. But you know, he comes in at number 12. Okay, fair enough, new guy. Tello Taitigui, who could be back in the legislature in the number 13 spot. Julia Santos at number 14. Not totally strange, but like Jimmy, a known commodity, certainly in the entertainment field. And Zermaine Alerta, who've been knocking around the legislature for a while. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Is that enough change for you? Is that, you know, some of the names that I've mentioned? You got people coming from the world of news and entertainment and insurance. Is that sufficient? So those are the guys that might represent a view of change. And what is also interesting, though, and I don't know what you're referring to. I got somebody on the WhatsApp that as when I was done reading the list of the top 15 wrote in, "That's scary." Which part is scaring you? No, not enough Republicans in there, or the fact that we've got some new guys, or the fact that we've got some returning names, incumbents and previous occupants of chairs over at the legislature. You know, I know and love them both, and don't have a problem saying to their face that, you know, maybe your time as a politician has come and gone. You went in, you tried to effect a couple of changes, were successful to one degree or another, and now it's over, and go on and do something else. Belik Bayan, I like to call it. Be-backs. So is that the part that's scary to you? Yeah, clarify. Let me know what it is that you think is scary. Too many incumbents, they say. Okay, all right. I'll give you that. You got too many people from the 34th Guam legislature. And to what degree was the 34th Guam legislature? What will they be known for? What's the legacy of the 34th Guam legislature? You know what? I'm going to say it's getting bamboozled by the administration, just on a consistent basis. Just every time they've gone up against Eddie's found a way to bamboozle them. I think it's just misdirection. You get too caught up in some of the, you know, overtly dramatic stuff, and then you get pinged on technicalities. I know you're not referring. I know when you're saying that's scary. I know what you're not referring to. There are 9 women that, if this poll holds true, would be members of the 35th Guam legislature. Is that good, bad, or? You know, we judge everyone in this day and age not on their gender, but on the results that they will bring. So we've got a bunch of ladies in the legislature now. Are you satisfied with their efforts? And probably need to start talking about this a little bit more because, yeah, I spent a lot of time talking about the gubernatorial race because that's where the interesting stuff is. That's where you get the fun conversations about write-ins and what will constitute a write-in. What happens if you write in on the Democrat side? What happens if you write in on the Republican side? And the answer is, I don't know, and we might find out on Friday. And I've expressed to Frank Uggan when he was in the room with me this morning, that scares me. That scares me. Because I don't know what the nature of the decisions that are going to be made on Friday night are. While all of the rest of us are at that little Nikkei good time over at GCC that I was talking to Monica about, or the Filipino groups getting together over at, I believe, the Dusit, or Habitat for Humanity's quiz night, or Black Construction's anniversary party. There's all these big events that are taking place on Friday night. And while we're doing that, the Election Commission will be discussing a number of important issues that you and I won't have a chance to talk about until Monday, until after the long weekend. And by then, will there be any time for us to be doing anything about it? That's one of the things that scares me. I don't know why, and I hate to think this way about the Guam Election Commission because, you know, frankly, most of the time I think they're doing all right. You know, following timelines, getting the job done, keeping track of a load of data that goes up on their website. But I hate to think about them like I think sometimes about the legislature. They're going to be getting together on Friday night. What? Make sure that we've got the video cameras there. Make sure that we've got somebody that is able to report on it, and that way we've got all of the handy information that we'll be able to bring you on that Monday morning. But will it be too late by then? 20 after 9 o'clock in the morning, and getting back into a little bit of the conversation from last hour, Andre Bainham sending an email out to a note out to Maria Pangilinan with attachments saying Ken Paris is a loose cannon in the GEC's ship of state, and he needs to be removed from that position. I don't know what the removal process is. I would imagine that he ought to be able to have some kind of say in this, you know, some kind of fair treatment, have his day in court, if you will. But I don't know. I'll find out. At any rate, I wanted to take a look at something to see if you can hear it. If you can, and they're concerned that he's the Democratic Commission member, and he's already shown a bias against certainly the organizers of the write-in campaign, and maybe even the write-in process itself. They believe that he has shown a bias. And I don't want to read the 3 editorials that came along with the attachment. I don't like it when I have to read things to you. So what we've got here is a piece of audio that goes back, I don't know, maybe a week, when Kevin Kerrigan had the opportunity to do a phone-in interview with him. See if you can hear it. I'll play it for you and see if you can hear bias against the organizers, bias against the write-in campaign, or is it simply just interest that he is expressing as a commission member? Here's Kevin Kerrigan and Ken Paris.
Do you think Ugg and Lim Tiaco have a chance if they jump back in officially this late in the game?
And they're going to have a rally on Sunday.
Is that right?
Yeah, the rally will be in Aganda on Sunday. So, and they're spending money. And then this is what, as a member of the commission, this is what I'm very interested in, is, well, number one, who are they getting, where are they getting this money, and who are the contributors, and how much have they already spent? Because that Facebook video that they posted, where at the end of the video, Frank Ogden says, "This is Frank Ogden, and I approve this ad."
Right.
That signifies to me, as a member of the Election Commission, that he is in fact running.
And do you believe that that's a violation of any current election law?
I don't know. We're going to turn that over to the legal counsels to look at.
You are going to look at that?
Yes, we are.
And is it your understanding?
I'm bringing that this Thursday at the meeting.
And is it your understanding that this Sunday rally they will officially redeclare or re-enter the race or whatever?
That's what I understand.
And what chance do you give them?
I don't think they'll pull 10, maybe possibly 10%, maybe 15, but I don't think. And if that's all the number of tabulations the machine picks up as tabulations of the write-in, then it's not enough to upset the race.
And that the comments of Ken Paris to Kevin Kerrigan, the audio version, and I'm sure there's a little bit of that that's in some of the editorial contributions that Ken has made. And so the question, as I say, is are you hearing bias? Are you hearing an active, I hate these guys, and they're dumb, and they're not going to win? Is that what you're hearing? as he's making answering the questions from Kevin Kerrigan? And I think that's kind of it. I don't know. As I hear it, I know how Ken talks. I've known this guy forever. I know how he talks, and I think that's about as excited as he ever gets about anything. So I don't know. I don't know what the due process is that the Guam Election Commission would give him. I'd ask the question out loud. This is funny. I'd ask the question out loud on what will be the legacy of the 34th Guam legislature. What is it that they are going to be remembered for? You have any ideas? Anything off the top of your head? Yeah, a buddy of mine on Facebook Messenger said they will be known for getting rid of shopping bags in the most timid way possible. I remember watching this thing go down. And I'm going, wait a second, couldn't they have just when is it going to happen? So I got to dig that out and read the as past version of it to see when it's going to happen, when we will actually see something with the bags in a deal. 888-8255. That's 888-8255. My old friend Joey Duenas on the line. Good morning, Joey.
Good morning.
Hey there.
How are you doing?
I'm amused. There's this is that interesting time before the general election that you don't really know what exactly is going to happen and where the different shoes are going to be dropping. So watching the write-in activity, that conversation it has now matured, and then the other commentary and requests that are being made by Andre and Ken over at the Guam Election Commission, as well as Tom Fisher and his desires to have the Election Commission rule on whether or not there are any obvious conflicts of interest if Lulian Guerrero wins as governor.
Yeah, Ray, I'm only calling in because I'm a former member of the Guam Election Commission.
I recall.
In the 98 election?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to make a couple of points. First off, they keep bringing up this thing about spoiled ballots, the 907 ballots. They want it to be counted. You never count those. Put aside the fact that it's already been decided by court that you don't count those, okay? Put that aside for a minute. I need to explain the logic of why you don't count those.
Go ahead.
When people cross over and vote, for example, on both sides of the legislature, they vote for some Democratic candidates, some Republican candidates, and then they vote for one of the gubernatorial, whether they're Republican or Democrat. You don't count the whole thing because you don't know if that's a Democrat or Republican voting. Or so, maybe they're not card carrying, but they identify themselves as Democrat or Republican. This is a primary, an open primary, which means it's for the Democrats or the Republicans to put forth their nominee. So if you cannot tell if this is a Democrat or a Republican casting a ballot, you cannot count the ballot.
Okay.
Okay, that's the one point I have to make, because we need to put this thing to rest. And I don't want to just say, well, the court decided that. No, it's the logic. This is an open primary, which is a very open primary, and it's good for the people of Guam. Because in the States, it's a closed primary. They ask you when you come in, are you a Democrat, registered Democrat, or Republican? You can't vote unless you say one or the other. But we allow people to vote, which is a good thing. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But once you cross over on that ballot, you've nullified your vote. And we keep telling people that that's a consistent thing that's always put out by the Election Commission.
Now, what about the cases? Well, don't, Joey. Let me ask a question here. Now, in the case of somebody that maybe overvotes on the senatorial ballot, on the senatorial line on the ballot, and those overvotes here, does that and that will spoil the ballot as well?
That will spoil the ballot only for the if they stay on the Democratic side, Ray, from top to bottom, that invalidates the legislature's race. It doesn't necessarily invalidate the congressional or the gubernatorial race. And I don't think they've counted those. But the problem, the 907 are where people voted on both Republican and Democrat. Those are the ones that got kicked out. There are no kickouts I've not heard of anybody saying, oh, they they voted for two gubernatorial candidates when there were four on one side, and therefore it kicked out everybody. No. That just kicks out that one part because they're voting as a Democrat. They're saying, I'm a Democrat. Whether they're card carrying or for that particular election they identify themselves as a Democrat, that's fine.
No, I identified myself as a Democrat in this race.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Because there wasn't anything going on my side. I knew that Doris was going to take the nomination. I figured there's nobody running against Ray, so I figured let's go meddle with the Democrats.
Yeah, but the 907, I'm not there. And by the way, I would, if I were sitting as an election commission member right now, I wouldn't talk to the media because any of the decisions might be challenged in court. So you don't want to talk to the media.
And including that piece of audio that I just played by Ken and Kevin. I mean, do you think that there was anything in there that shows that Ken, as a commission member, has an active bias against the write-in process in general and the organizers of the write-in campaign in particular?
You know, I'm going to tell you something, Ray. Every Democrat member of that election commission and every Republican member of that election commission has a bias. They're there representing their party. So they represent the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party voted, and Lou and Josh won. That's the end of story. So, of course, Ken is going to support the Democratic nominee. He's not going to support a write-in candidate. Now, the independent member, he may decide, all right, I'm not. Ken Perez is in there because the Democratic Party said, here's a member we want to be on the election commission.
Right.
When I got put on the election commission, it's the Democratic Party that said, we want you on the election commission. I'm a registered Democrat.
So can I ask, as an independent thinker, can I ask that there be another 2 independent commission members?
Why? That's not a necessity.
Why not? Well, if the two parties have representation and multiple commission members, it automatically puts anybody that is not running as a Democrat or a Republican at the disadvantage.
And that's the way it works, because that's the whole idea of parties, right? Parties represent certain things. Now, granted, in Guam, and even in the nation.
So what we're saying is that the Guam Election Commission is an extension of the parties instead of an extension of the voters.
Well, who puts them on the commission, right? It's the Republican Party that put Jerry Chrysostom on the commission, right?
I'm not disagreeing with the fact of the matter. I'm just saying that I think we would encourage different voices and different lines of thinking if we had more independent thinkers out there.
Yes, and I didn't hear Ken Perez say ever that he doesn't want any write-in votes. But if you're saying, would he go out now and say, hey, I'm not sure, I might support Frank, I might support... No, he has to say, I'm supporting the Democratic nominee.
Exactly, but the Guam Election Commission should not be about the parties.
And here's the thing. The election is conducted, 3 people on each side, Republicans and Democrats, and the independent member, he's the one that breaks the tie, so that that's where the public's perspective comes in, right?
So there needs to be more from the public, is what I'm saying.
Well, then you know what, Ray? Then we should have election commission members who don't represent anybody.
There are boards and commissions that you would think are more open than that.
And therefore the governor is the one who will appoint election commission members, and if he's Republican, he'll appoint all Republicans.
It's a sticky wick, isn't it? It's a sticky. So let me move. So let me move beyond that, because in this case, I think we're talking about there's another wrinkle in this, and I like the way you think, because there's logic behind what goes around in your head. So with regard to the write-in vote, and as a former member of the commission, we have a situation here. I'm not sure how it's going to work out, where it's possible. In fact, impossible for Frank and Alicia to be written in as write-in candidates as on a third block. Now, they can only be written in under the Democrat side or the Republican side, where there is a blank for the write-ins. There's no independent write-in block available on the ballots, the sample ballots that you can see in this morning's PDN. So the question I have, and we've asked, and apparently there's no clear answer, is that Ken Leon Guerrero believes that if Frank's name is written down under the Democrat side or the Republican side, the vote will count. If somebody writes down, the way I got it from Maria yesterday was, if somebody writes them down under the anything other than the Democratic side, then their vote won't count.
And I don't have an answer for you, Ray, because I would have to go back and find out what the law says on that particular thing and look at case law.
Yeah,
that has never come up before, so I've never really thought about it. And And so I really don't have an answer. I'm the type of person that if you ask me a question, I'm going to first try and find out all the information so I can give you an intelligent answer.
Yeah.
And so I would go back and look at case law and law and go back and say, okay, this is what it is and this is why. And then I could say, I agree with that and this is how it should work. I don't have an answer for you, Ray. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'd found it yesterday in just a cursory search of the Guam Code annotated on Chapter 11. I'd have to scooch down and see if I can get my left certification, delivery of certification, unofficial results, incomplete or ambiguous. Hold on, I'm getting there. I'll get there. Death of a candidate after certification, review of ballots. Come on, it's just a little bit more before I get down to where it starts talking about write-ins and things like that. And I might have to find it after you've already left me on the air.
Okay.
At any rate,
Can I leave you with one more thought?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Ken Flores is a good member. I remember one election he was the chairman of the election commission, and the Republicans and Democrats take turns being chairman. They get along really well. They say 1 year it's the Democratic chairman, the next year it's the Republican chairman. So they get along really well. But 1 year, Ken actually had to be walked out of the UMATIC. He's going to kill me for telling you this. He got walked out from the UMATIC precinct, escorted by the SWAT team from GPD, because they were ready to kill him down there. It was a very close race, lots of heat, lots of emotion. He shut the precinct down.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had to walk him out of UMATIC with the SWAT team right around him. So,
interesting.
That's what you do as an election commission. I went through the very contentious election of 1998.
Oh, I remember that Supreme Court election.
Yeah. Yes, that's why I know we don't count crossover votes in the primary. You don't. It just doesn't happen.
Now I found the section I was looking for under write-in votes. If the write-in voting oval, and this seems to be the totality of the conversation in the Guam Code, if the write-in voting oval or other defined space provided is marked, a write-in vote shall be counted for the office under which it is marked, provided a name is written alongside the voting oval or other defined space shown. The write-in names appearing next to the marked write-in voting ovals or other defined space provided for that office shall be tabulated and published.
Okay.
And so that's basically all it says about it. So is there anything in there where you might be able to infer the next step that the Guam Election Commission would take? Do we count all votes, all write-ins that are cast for Frank and Alicia, regardless of which party it was written under?
Regardless of which column it's put in.
And so that's the way you see it, right?
So I would say right on the face of it, it's kind of a little vague. So I would then look for case law that looks for other things that have happened. You have to go to where, I'm sure this came up somewhere in the past, Ray, maybe not on Guam, but somewhere. And so there is case law that you can look at where you look at it and it says, okay, this is the decision and the logic of why you made that decision.
Yeah.
And so that's where I would go. It looks on the face of what you're saying, it's a little vague, so you might say, yeah, you can count both sides. I'm not that sure. I would like to go back and look at case law. That's why I'm saying I would do a lot more research. I'm the type of guy who goes in and reads things and really checks it out before I tell you.
You would need to go back a number of times. This thing has been, this section has been meddled with a number of times, repealed and reenacted in 1972, amended in 1974, codified, repealed and reenacted in when is this, 1994, repealed and reenacted again in December of 2012. So obviously this is one of those places where there has been cause for whatever reason for the legislature to go back and meddling is the word that I'll use here, but certainly making some changes or adoptions under write-in votes.
Yes, and I'm sure that somewhere there is case law on this specific issue, and therefore that's where I would go to hang my hat.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, there is a vagueness. It says that if you look at it at its face, you might say, well, okay, well, it's any write-in, as long as we filled in the oval and we've written something down in the space provided, will be tabulated and published. Although there is another piece of the language, and it's in plain English, the shall be counted for the office under which it is marked.
Right.
So is it the office in terms of a Republican governor or a Democrat governor?
Okay, Ray, here's what I would say. this question, this is all speculation, and it's nice to talk about. But the rubber meets the road after the general election, because then the legal counsel for the election commission, the election commissioner get together, they look at case law. I'm not there, but this is the way I would see them doing, is they look at case law, they would come up with a decision at that time. That's the time for them to come up with a decision. You know why? Because at that time, after they make their decision, when you certify the election, that's when somebody challenges you.
Correct.
They don't challenge you before you certify, because the court will just say, no, you can't come into the court right now. What decision are you challenging? See, talking about it, speculation, everything, forget that.
Well, and that's why I'd suggested to Ken Leon Guerrero not to take any action against Ken Perez over at the Guam Election Commission, because frankly Ken has not done anything, I believe, that is actionable by the commission that shows any serious bias. You got to wait until he votes in seeming contravention against the law before you start running around and saying that he ought to be dismissed.
And then as a commission member, you know, in the 98 election, in the local case before Judge Mandabusan in the Superior Court, I got called to the stand. I have to get up, and I have to, and Curtis Vanderbilt started to go after me. A nice guy. I like Curtis.
Oh, yeah, great guy.
Are friendly. We're not bosom buddies. We don't go out to lunch. We don't go out for beers, because I don't drink beers to begin with. But what it is I got called to the witness stand, and when he was asking me questions, I took out of my back pocket my yellow sheet of paper where I'm keeping tabs of everything that happened that night. And the minute Curtis saw that, he says, I have no more questions of Mr. Doyle. He wanted me to get off the stand.
Yeah, I know the thinking. It's you know, you can always challenge somebody's memory, but even the most faded document is still better than anybody's best memory. Joey,
I took out my yellow piece of paper. He said, get off the stand.
I got to run. I'll talk to you pretty soon. Thanks for your comments. I do appreciate them.
Okay.
I do appreciate it. It's nice to get a little bit of historical perspective on this and see what the what-ifs are going to be. Just trying to keep the conversation as fair and balanced as possible. Coming up next, we'll talk about something that you might not be getting excited about, but there's a possibility that there could be about 20,000 people from here and all around the Pacific region that are going to be excited about K-pop. That's next. iConnect time in the studios is 9:41. Swing by iConnect or give them a call at 888-8888. Find out why they are the practical choice. Why? Great prices, internet, mobile, push to talk, got it all at iConnect.
Guam Regional Medical City. We bring the healthcare advances of the world directly to you. We are an acute care hospital that complements your needs with our robust outpatient specialty clinics. From preventative care to critical care, we strive for consistent excellence at GRMC. Our core philosophy is where patients are partners, which means we work as a team to make a healthier version of you. For more information about GRMC, visit us at grmc.gu.
I see it, 9:42 in the morning. Portions of the program also brought to you by my friends over at Wendy's. Brand new Harvest Chicken Salad delivers on all of the flavors of fall. This thing is loaded with flavors. You got lettuce, crisp red and green apples, dried cranberries, the perfect combination of applewood, smoked bacon, bacon and salad, yes. Little crumbles of feta cheese. Oh, it's that texture. It's cheese, baby. The new salad comes with an apple cider vinaigrette dressing and brown sugar roasted walnuts. Did I say that there was chicken in there as well? This is like you could feed a small family with this for 2 or 3 days. You can find it for lunch at Wendy's. Now that's better.
Calvo started with a simple handshake. As we celebrate 80 years, we extend a hand to all of you who have taken our hand in trust, to the dreamers and realists, the families, the businesses, the young at heart, and the old souls, our manumku and our children. From all of us to all of you, our deepest, happiest, and infinite thanks.
80 years here for you. 80 years thanks to you. Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust.
If you can dream uncommon design and unprecedented engineering, you define the 2018 Lexus. The boldly designed IS Sport Sedan's aggressive design stimulates the senses.
Advanced paddle shifting puts the exhilarating performance of the IS Sport Sedan at your fingertips. With deep, luxurious seating, the ES350 offers an ultimate level of comfort, while cutting-edge engineering delivers a thrilling drive.
Put yourself in a 2018 Lexus.
Now with special incentives.
At Atkins Kroll.
Programming note, this time tomorrow will not be the near end of the program. The program will extend a little bit tomorrow morning because tomorrow is the Great Shakeout, and somebody needs to be here talking right up to it at 10:18, which is the way that we remember that tomorrow is the Great Shakeout because it happens at 10:18 on 10:18, and then we're going to play a thing, and then you're supposed to get under a desk or something like that, right? Or as I do, in a real earthquake, I rip my shirt off and stand and say, "Hey, this is don't be scared. I'll protect you. I'll hold up the roof with my bare hands."
Has anyone sent you the thing we're supposed to play? Because I don't have it.
I sent it to you. check your inbox, dude. 9:44 in the morning, 888-8255, Facebook Live. What do we got going on here? Is Chris giving me a hard time. He says, giving Frank all this free media for losing an election really isn't fair to Ray or Lou. I don't know what you're talking about. This is the news. It's the news. And his reply is, he's not a legitimate candidate for governor, Ray. Ray and Lou are. He shouldn't be allowed to participate in any forum or debate, in my opinion. He could have 8 followers or 8,000. Truth is, no one knows. Yeah. How should I respond to that? How do we define a legitimate candidate for governor? And if it's only ever going to be the people that win in the election, then we have to get rid of the write-in part. We have to get rid of the right. That's the thing. And it keeps, in my mind, it keeps coming back to this. And it doesn't matter whether it's Frank Uggan or Frank Blas, for that matter. I'd be asking the same questions. It would be just as interesting to me. Frankly, it'd be even more interesting to me if it was Frank Blas. He's my classmate. And, we chew beetle nut together and drink beers together and have a good time, and we exchange political gossip together. I think it'd be crazy fun if it had turned out to be a write-in race with Frank versus Frank. Look, this is the Super Bowl of talk radio on Guam, and every little thing is going to be worthy of some kind of news story. Now, I would have liked to have talked about Lou today. I would have liked to talk about Ray today, but they haven't done anything. They didn't earn any media today. There's not even a new anti-Lou and Josh ad. This is the one that ran yesterday, and there is an ad in the paper today, and it's this one. So why am I going to talk about it? And as far as I'm concerned, this was a legitimate topic for discussion because I think it is the most direct attack against Lou Leon Guerrero and Josh on their pro-choice stance, right? Which I think she's going to disagree. I think is a big part of the election conversation, but there isn't anything new today on it. Frank and Alicia coming into the radio station, bringing me coffee, and outright calling Lou Leon Guerrero a liar on three different issues. That's news. So, okay, disagree if you like, but keep listening. 9:47 in the morning, and my buddy Josh Dykenko from the Guam Visitors Bureau on the line. And Josh, before I do anything else, I recognize there's a serious loss in the Visitors Bureau family with the death of your colleague, and I want to let you know that everybody down there and the family, of course, are in our prayers.
Oh, thank you, Suzus Mossy, Ray. Yeah, we're really devastated by the loss of Anna Sid, our Director of Tourism Research here. She's been an instrumental part of the Bureau. She worked here for over 25 years.
I don't think she ever had another job.
I briefly remember, I think she had some time in the legislature, and then she moved over to GVB in the early 90s. But she's been instrumental. She's been such a big light here at GVB. She helped with the modernization of the customs forms that so when you get into Guam and you fill out the customs forms, she had a really big hand in making that happen. And we're just really devastated by her loss. And we get to say goodbye to her on Friday, and I just learned this, but she also knew our good friend Ted Fernandez as well.
Yeah.
I believe they were classmates. So really big loss for the Bureau and for the island of Guam, and we just want to wish the family our sincerest condolences, and
and sharing the pain for sure. My first recollection of her was back in 100 years ago. We used to do a thing called the back to school bashes and all kinds of student activities from among, at the time, just a handful of public high schools, and she was always among the first of the volunteers from John F. Kennedy High School to come form the committee and help us with the plans and the arrangements and the execution. And
that sounds like Anna.
Yeah,
go get her.
She's gonna be missed for sure. 9:49 and moving on to happier news here. I'm told that there is going to be a K-pop Woodstock here on Guam.
In some sense, yes, and it's going to be free too. This is something that that's Nate's baby, and he wanted to apologize to that he couldn't speak to you on the radio. He's stuck in a manager's meeting right now. I think they're trying to finalize some of the plans for Anna. I see. But he told me to talk to you and get some details out there about this big event that's happening on December 1st.
Okay, so yeah, it's December 1st, first of all, and where?
It's going to be right here in our backyard at Governor Joseph F. Flores Memorial Beach Park, EPAL Beach Park. Okay. And it's going to be featuring 5 top K-pop groups. So the biggest of the 5 is Twice. They're this famous girl group from Korea. They've blown up in Korea and also in Japan. I'm aware that they're like the highest. They've achieved like the highest sales for first week album sales in the history of a K-pop artist in Japan. And so I believe they also had a concert there too, and it was really, really, really popular. K-pop has risen to great heights over the last. I want to say just recently. It started like back in the early 90s.
Oh, we've been Star 101's been playing K-pop, as quickly as possible. As quickly as The problem is that there's not a whole lot of K-pop in my recollection that is crossing over and using the regular music promotion channels in the United States. It's a huge sensation, among streaming and
like the main one that had broken through the.
Was it BMT? Was that the name of the group, or BLT?
BTS.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, BTS.
BLT.
I hear their song on our the radio stations all playing. I'm like, what?
Well, there's 2 or 3 others that I know because I personally added them onto the playlist because I thought that they were good. But I just got to say, not everybody likes K-pop. There's some people that think it'll give you brain damage. But then you know what? Don't go. But it's going to be December now. Free concert, right?
It's absolutely free and open to the public. All you have to do is really just go to the website kpop.visitguam.com and register to get your free tickets. This is going to be a made-for-television event, so we partnered with NBC. They're one of the biggest South Korean television and radio network companies in the region. So they're going to be coming here and filming this event for TV, and then they're going to be broadcasting it to their viewers in Asia, millions of viewers. This is just a great way for our visitors to come here and experience our island and experience the biggest free K-pop music event. I think in this year, and so.
December 1st isn't that far away as the crow flies. Have we already talked with the airlines to make sure that they're going to be able to meet the demands on what we think is going to be significant airlift out of certainly South Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, maybe?
Right. So our marketing department is working with the travel agents and designing packages and just making them aware of what's available, and especially that December 1st is the target date for the music K-pop concert here, and so we also will be having some local performances as well. So we're just finalizing all the details of that right now and getting the logistics squared away with how we're going to be lining up everything in EPAL and making sure everyone is safe and also just making sure we get a good attendance from not only our visitors but our local.
Oh yeah, we want our kids to go and enjoy the show as well. And my guess is that that virtually all of them will find a way to get down to Ipoh Beach Park for and number one, it's a free concert, and number two, it's going to be them. Sistar is a great K-pop girl group, according to Mark Cruz, who seems to be actively involved in this conversation. 9:53 in the morning. Who are you working with around here that's helping you out? Is going to be a big players in the game.
In terms of like just logistics.
Well, who's helping? Yeah, who's going to be setting up sound and lights, and where are they staying? Do we have any great hotel rates? You got any of the promotional partners that you're working with?
Right, we're actually just kind of getting all the sponsorship packages together. So I actually don't have all those details with me on hand.
Send me one.
But definitely, we'll send one to you. And there's actually been a great outreach from our local businesses here that want to help host and provide some services for all the various K-pop groups that are here, that will be coming here. Right now we're in the middle of the sponsorship, getting all of that.
Okay, well, we'll go and lots of dick on that, and then we'll all get together. And last question is, where are you running this weekend?
Oh man, what is the race this weekend?
I think it's the Ghoulish race. I think it's the Ghoulish 10K out in Barragata.
That one?
I might have 6 miles under me. I don't know.
You've been on a roll. I love it. I've been loving all the posts that you've been putting up.
No, you know why? It's not because I want to show off that I'm running faster. I want to show off my shorts.
Your short shorts.
Everybody, I want that to be a trend. I want everybody to start wearing short shorts again at the races.
Yes, I need to go back to the gym for that one.
All right, dude, I got to let you run. I got some other chilling conversation to get into here.
Awesome. See this Mossy, Ray.
You too, buddy.
From you.
All right, I'll talk to you pretty soon. 9:55 in the morning.
You don't want me out there in short shorts, bro.
It's all an attitude. It's just an attitude.
I got footballer legs.
So did she. It's a slippery slope, Ray, to allow Frank to participate in forums or to have observers, because at that point, moving forward in future elections, you could have chaos. That's an Eddie word. Anyone who wants to be in forums or debates could just declare themselves a write-in candidate and be given access. Wonder how that jives with another kind of conversation that we've been having. I'm broadcaster, and as broadcasters, we are required by federal law to provide access to our radio stations' advertising, as though a political candidate had spent money like, I don't know, Docomo or Kings or whoever. We are required by law to treat them just like we treat our preferred customers. And so I had asked a question to some of my legal brainiacs, and they got back to me. The question was, along the same lines, Chris, is that the legitimate official candidates in the race, Lou and Josh and Ray and Tony, would get those preferred rates and that preferred status. As a write-in candidate, would the same thing apply to Frank? Or could I charge Frank whatever I wanted to for the ads? And there is an answer to the question. And the answer to the question is, if they are acting like they are legitimate or official candidates, are they conducting rallies? Are they doing waves? Are they doing fundraisers? Are they doing any number of things and you have to be very open-minded when you have this conversation with yourself. They might be doing one thing, but not the other. But the fact that they are doing what appears to be, and Bob, help me out with the phraseology here. If they are doing enough of these things, and certainly the waves and the rally that they conducted would fall in line with legitimate political activity, then I have to, and I will, give them the preferred rate when they buy advertising from us. Because that's what the law says. So the legitimacy, it seems to me, of a candidate, and maybe it will create chaos, And the other question is, what's wrong with chaos? I think chaos is great. How many times have I told you? I'm in the talk radio business. And this is our hit record these days. And what's the line? We're business and talk radio and politics and talk radio and business is good right now. So yeah, I'm gonna keep on going. So that in my mind is the answer to the question: how we determine legitimacy. And if that's the case, if I have to give these guys, the credit of being the preferred advertisers, like I have to do for Lou and I have to do for Ray, then guess what? They're going to have just as much access to the process here as I can, as seems palatable here. So where are we now? Is it already the end of the program? Yes, it is. Huh? How about that? All right, looks like I managed to talk my way into another 4 hours today. Will miracles never cease? Is there another 4 hours left in the program? Heck, is there another 8? Do you realize that there's only 8 more hours for the Ray Gibson Show this week? That sucks. Oh, I don't think I can do any more, though. I get tired fast. Sometimes I talk so much, I get dizzy. It's funny. Anyway, I got to go, but I'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. You keep listening. We got the guys. We got the usual right-wing bomb throwers. They're going to be up on the radio all day. And then at 4, Bob Klitsky. And Bob may have completely different views of the situations as I do. And you know what? That's all right. It's okay. A little chaos. Disagreement. That's a good thing. It's 10 a.m. on KUSG. I've gotten you. Ray Gibson bidding you goodbye.
Giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The president saying he spoke with the Saudi king and crown prince, and they continue to deny any involvement in the disappearance of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Khashoggi, a known critic of the monarchy, went to the Saudi consulate in Istanbul earlier this month to file routine paperwork related to his upcoming marriage and hasn't been seen since.
President Trump has given an interview to the AP in which he says this is clearly a case of guilty until proven innocent. His quote exactly there was, "Here we go again, you know. You're guilty until proven innocent. We just went through that with Kavanaugh." But evidence against Saudi Arabia is mounting. Turkish authorities have finally been allowed to search the consulate and claim to have found evidence that Khashoggi was killed inside, despite some of the surfaces having been painted over in an apparent attempt to conceal evidence.
Fox's Benjamin Hall in Istanbul. A Mississippi sheriff says a grandmother has been charged with first-degree murder after her 20-month-old granddaughter was found stabbed and burned inside an oven. 48-year-old Carolyn Jones jailed on a $500,000 bail. President Trump with a warning to the leader of Honduras over a caravan from that country that's making its way to the U.S.
This is the second time this year that President Trump has threatened to cut off aid to Honduras over one of these caravans. And his latest warning came today on Twitter. He says the U.S. has strongly informed the president of Honduras that if the large caravan of people heading to the U.S. is not stopped and brought back to Honduras, no more money or aid will be given to Honduras, effective immediately. And the message was really driven home by Vice President Mike Pence, who says that he spoke on the phone with the president of Honduras and told him, quote, "The U.S. will not tolerate this blatant disregard for our border."
Fox's Kristen Fisher in Washington. This is Fox News.
This is Tyrus.
I'm Tommy Lahren.